It has been over a year since Clifford ventured onto Twitch to build armies, to raise castles, to war against enemies, and to rule kingdoms. And now it is time. Yes, it is time to bring back gaming streams. Make sure that you are following me on twitch.tv. Is it twitch.tv still? I'm not even sure anymore. Yes, twitch.tv/I'm Clifford today. As we go back to the world of Stronghold, but this time Stronghold Definitive Edition. Plus, other games as well, most likely. I mean, we'll be starting with that because I haven't played it yet, but there may be other games that I might try to play. Red Dead 2. Spyro. And more Stronghold games. The fact of the matter is that I got a gaming PC, so that's why we're back. And we're looking at weekend streams, so we're looking at Fridays and Saturdays, unless otherwise noted, and it's going to be fun. Remember, twitch.tv/I'm Clifford today, starting on this date. Whatever this date is, because I still haven't really figured it out yet, but that's the plan. Also, be sure to give my accent a rating in the comments. Be sure to tune in, unless, of course, there is
Wood needed.
In that case, I can't really help you there. Twitch.tv, I'm Clifford today. Gaming streams are back. Today's show. I'm Clifford today, and you're not, and these two gentlemen are not. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to. We've got Nick Gundy in the house. Nick Gundy, how's it going?
It's going pretty good for the most part. Yeah.
Pretty good. That's good. Got Josh here in the house. How's it going, Josh?
Pretty good. Good. Good weather, no storms right now. So
yeah, you get to sit outside because I haven't even been outside today here, so I hope that it's nice.
It gets up to 67 today. Yeah.
Oh, that's
sweet.
Why. I forgot
And you're
to look
going
at the highs today.
And you're going to Winter Jam later today, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Up in Springfield, Missouri.
Nice, cool. Well, you'll have to let us know in the next episode how it went, and if it was better than my experience last year.
I mean, the skill's gonna be there, so I'm already happy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You'll have a good time, I'm sure. Well, today we've got a lot. We got a big stacked episode in store for you guys today. I mean, I already know because I've already recorded a majority of the episode, and it's going to be good. But we still got a lot to cover just before we get to the interview. So we have Say Goodnight, Kevin, on the show. So stay tuned for that once we get into that, and I'll give like a whole introduction and everything when we get to that point. But first, so last episode was actually a pretty it was a pretty big episode for us, and it's in terms of like views and interaction and such. It's the biggest episode we've had since the John James episode. So I guess that just tells me that I just got to keep continuing to do Newsboys content. So just from now on, this is going to be a Newsboys channel. I mean, yeah, my Newsboys stuff tends to do pretty well, and which is fine by me because everyone knows how invested I am with that band. But you know, the last episode, there was some, some spicy stuff that we had to go through. And so if you guys haven't checked that out, go ahead and check it out. We addressed all this recent drama involving Michael Tate leaving the Newsboys and all the quote unquote allegations, and with Adam Agee stepping up to the microphone, literally. Newsboys are really lucky that they have that album and that song, because every time that there's a lineup change, people use that. Although I think that their newer fans probably won't know because it's an older song and an older album. But you know, me being an OG fan, it's like, hey, I remember Step Up to the Microphone. In fact, I think that was one of the earliest songs that I knew as a kid. Like before I really knew who the Newsboys were, I knew the song Step Up to the Microphone because it played on the radio. So anyway, so we addressed all of that, and a lot of people had some thoughts to share. So we've got quite a few comments that we're going to get to, and we're going to try not to take too much time because of such a stacked episode that we have today, but we don't want to ignore them. So we've got a comment from Mark Edward Murphy. How's it going, Mark? You've been subscribed for 2 years. YouTube shows me that. So thanks, Mark. So Mark says, my pitch for the Newsboys, nicked from the classic Petra from the 2000s and 10s, which I wouldn't know. I've never really followed Petra, but I know that they've had some lineup changes.
They had a lot of lineup changes.
Yeah. How many lead singers did they go through? Like, is it 2 or 3?
I think at least 3, maybe 4.
Wow. So they're very so they're not new to this.
No.
It's funny because as well as being a Newsboys fan, I'm a big Genesis fan. With Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel. But Genesis has gone through like 3 lineup changes, and it's kind of interesting how similar things are with the Newsboys right now. I feel like Adam Agee is probably going to be the Ray Wilson era, like Genesis. So it's like, this isn't new to me. But yeah, anyways, so Mark says his suggestion is do the next tour/record with Adam, and maybe do the song for God's Not Dead 10 Extreme Days. God's Not Dead X Extreme Days. I would definitely see that, whatever that's going to be. Then announce the end of the Newsboys, but not until they do one record with the lineup from the mid-90s with Taylor as writer/producer. Go full out classic quirky Newsboys with weird lyrics that weren't afraid to ruffle feathers with Becky and her kids. Yeah, I agree. Although if we wait until God's Not Dead 10, we might have to wait a few years at least. God's Not Dead is kind of becoming it's like the Land Before Time, just having like 12 sequels.
Hey.
But yeah, I'm all for right. I don't even know how many there's like 12 movies. I don't know. I never watched all of them, but I did watch yeah, it's true. First, yeah. There is this video from YouTuber Jenny Nicholson where she did watch all of the Land Before Time movies. Yeah, I would. That one's fun to watch. I like watching videos that watch things that I don't have to. Anyways, Land Before Time, whatever. But yeah, I'm all for a reunion with the original lineup and with Steve Taylor. I'm all for that. But thanks for the comment, Mark. We've got a comment from Die MKT. So it has been confirmed that that's how you say his name, and he actually does explain because he left a comment in the last video, and I had a little bit of trouble deciphering how to say his name. But this is a really cool comment, though. So he says, "Thanks for the shout out. My username is just what YouTube allocated to me when they switched over to @usernames based on my email address." Yeah, that happened to a lot of people. It's a shortened form of Die Meerkat, which is Afrikaans. I'm from South Africa, and translates to the meerkat. Think Timon from The Lion King. And of course, I know what a meerkat is. Lion King was one of my favorite movies ever. Nickname from school, which just kind of stuck. My name is Tim, and I'm blonde, hence Timon. Possibly your first subscriber from Africa. So hello from the Southern Hemisphere. Really been loving the podcast. Thanks, gents. Dude, thanks so much, Tim. Really,
Hey.
I don't know. I mean, this might be the first comment that I've gotten where they've said that they're from a different country. I mean, I have no doubt that other people from other countries have watched it, but I feel like you're the first one to shout that out. So that's really cool, man. And thanks for subscribing. I hope you enjoy your stay. And yeah, much love to a fellow Lion King appreciator. It's like my favorite. It's my favorite animated movie, my favorite Disney movie. So yeah. So yeah. Die Meerkat. All right, so this one gets more into the nitty gritty with the whole Michael Tate situation. This is from Musical Owl 12, or Musical Owl. She says, so I work in Christian music, and I haven't heard anything about Tate being. Oh, by the way, if there are kids present, we're going to go into these allegations. So, which we're not going to get into detail about anything, but just for a few minutes, might not want to watch this around them or listen to it. So anyways, so I work in Christian music, and I haven't heard anything about Tate being gay. Maybe I'm just not in the right circles, but I have heard a lot of tea, but not that. It could very well be true, but I wouldn't classify that as the worst kept secret in Christian music. Also, the fact that the rumor even existed that Michael might be gay, just because of his long-term singleness, is just further proof to me that the church and culture idolize marriage. Which I don't know about that. I mean, I get it. Not every Christian is meant for marriage, look at Paul. But yeah. I don't know about idolize, but I think I understand what you're saying. As for the SA allegations, I'm going to need an actual victim to come forward, not a second-hand source. And truly, if that part is true, I hope at least one victim comes forward so they can get justice. When the TikTok first came out, I was interested to see what would come out and curious to see who else would speak up. But so far, I haven't seen anyone else say anything about it. It's like that John Travolta meme from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Looking around. Usually, if there is some truth to claims like this, others will come forward and share their stories. So for all the reasons you mentioned, I am skeptical. And I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, Musical Owl.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you're going to come out with these serious allegations and say that it's been that there have been investigative journalists and everything and multiple victims have come out, where they at? And why, after all this attention, are they
still nothing?
Are they not saying anything?
Nothing.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you guys had any more response to that comment.
Uh, mine was so some of the rumors were not even focused on him being single still so long. It was uh, some people were just looking at his mannerisms, and like that was a question that arose, like, hey, is he or something like? But like I said,
Yeah.
some people just chalked it up to just culture and it's like, hey, like so still that's where I saw the rumors come from, just like equating mannerisms to
Yeah.
that, which still is not enough to do anything. And but yeah, so
Yeah, it's not. And I've known people who are um super flamboyant, you know.
yeah,
Anyone would mistake them for, being gay.
like Southern
But
is really big in Southern culture.
oh
Like
yeah.
sort of like I know I know a few people down south like people like are they? I'm like no, they just
Yeah.
very they move a lot with their hands and like you said flamboyant, but
Yeah.
trust me, they got 8 kids. They got eight
Right,
kids and they're
right.
happy.
Yeah, yeah. I remember there was a speaker that came to the school of ministry that I was a part of years ago, and he talked about that because even I noticed, and it was hard for anyone else to notice. He was super flamboyant, very, you know, lean more into a kind of a effeminate side, and he talked about that, and he's like, yeah, I that was something that I dealt with for years, and people speculated that I might have been gay, but I'm not. So, so that was like one of the first times that made me think like, oh, okay, I should maybe be more careful about judging people then.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like just because they act that way. But yeah, about Michael Tate though, I have had some other private interactions with people since we released the last video. People who are more like involved in the Christian music scene, just like
hmm
Musical Owl said. And yeah, they've heard the same rumors. They even had, they had interacted with Michael Tate. Um, and the thing is that he just comes up across as like just super friendly, very
yeah,
charismatic. Um, and yeah, there were rumors going around, but then again, that's all it is, just
yeah, it's just
rumors and conjecture.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Nick, did you have anything to add to that?
Nope.
Cool. Sorry, I'm away from the tab, so and it only shows me one person at a time when we're talking when I'm away from the tab. So if you were like shaking your head, I didn't see it.
Um,
It's like, say something. All right. We've got a comment from Eric Martinez. What's up, Eric? He's been supporting the show for a while. Says, hey, great video. Not to be a burden. You're never a burden, Eric. But you had mentioned that God's Not Dead was written by Passion or Crowder. Wasn't it by a man named Daniel Bashta? He corrected it in a comment. Daniel Bashta. That's what my friend told me. And I actually had to look it up. And he's correct. Daniel Bashta was the original writer for the song, which I had never heard of this guy, but he's got like a whole Spotify account and everything. He's released music. But
Well, get a
he's
follow.
what's that?
I said he about to get a follow.
Yeah. Yeah, so he did write the song, but according to Spotify, the Passion version of God's Not Dead came out in 2010, and Daniel Bashta's version came out in 2011. So although it
Mm,
does seem that he wrote it, I guess Passion's version came out first, which upon looking into this guy, I guess he does write a lot of music for people like behind the scenes. Apparently he won a Dove Award recently for a Maverick City music song.
oh,
So,
really?
so yeah, I, it's a new discovery. And I did listen to the original God's Not Dead version, and I think personally, I think I do like both Daniel Bashta's and Passion's version better than Newsboys, but maybe it's because I've heard the Newsboys version a billion
So many
times
times.
at this point. Yeah. So yeah, the more you know. Mm. I wonder. I'm not gonna
The
like make
meme.
time to edit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll take too much work. But and another comment from Paul Milton. PCC sent me winky face. Okay, so little bit of story time. There's this podcast / YouTube channel called Pop Culture Crisis, and I've been listening / watching them for about, I don't know, maybe about a year now. They're kind of a branch off of Tim Pool's podcast. They like film in the same studio and everything, and there's same people involved, and it's a really good show. It's hosted by Brett Dasovic and Mary Morgan, and they basically just talk all things pop culture from a, I guess you could say, anti-woke perspective, although they would hate to use that term. They would cringe if they heard me say it. But, it's just kind of that, because Mary is a conservative and Brett is more of kind of a right of center kind of guy. But I caught one of their shows live for the first time the other day, and I decided to pay for a super chat, and I gave the channel a shout out, and just kind of explained what it was, and they read it, and they gave my channel a shout out, and got like I don't know, I noticed there was like a couple of subs, and one guy in the super chat started talking to me about Under Oath, what my opinion on Under Oath was, and we talked about that for a little bit, and he said that he subscribed. So I don't remember your name, but shout out to you. Leave a comment if that was you. But yeah, they were very, very nice. Although I saw some people in the chat being like, "Oh, Christian music sucks," but some people were like, "Oh yeah, Keith Green, DC Talk, a lot of good artists." So,
Yeah.
so yeah, shout out, thanks to Pop Culture Crisis, and thanks for subbing, all you guys, and I responded to Paul Milton saying, "Feel free to like your suitcase here anytime," which is a PCC reference. If you know, you know. So, so yeah, gave a little bit of promotion to the channel. Cool. So, and another comment. We got a comment from Lachlan Mirror. Lachlan, I have no idea if I've actually never heard your last name said, but I know Lachlan. We're a part of the same Jesus Freak Hideout Music League, and he's actually all the way from the land down under, and we tend to kind of have the same, like, similar music tastes. So really appreciate you dropping in and leaving a comment. But he has some thoughts on the whole Michael Tate situation. Again, if your kids are in the room, maybe they shouldn't be. But Lachlan says, "I think it's interesting that the making the allegations is representing a community that values the correct use of pronouns. It's of the highest esteem, and yet he," meaning Azaria, "intentionally and provocatively and repeatedly calls Tate girl. Why? It seems really childish." Yeah, I agree. That was so annoying to me. Like, why is he calling him that? And it's true. It's like, yeah, I thought they were all about, like, not misgendering people and such, but I guess he doesn't care when it comes to people he
It's
doesn't
kind of a
like.
cultural black girl talk type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's still annoying.
Oh yeah, it definitely is, but especially when he did it. But yeah, that's how Neutron come
but he's not.
across.
He's not black though. Azaria is not
No,
black.
it's
So
I it's if he's gay, then that was why they just taking on the culture of that.
okay,
You know, it's just the whole culture that that's what they
gotcha.
on it.
He's like, oh, we're both
Yeah.
gay, so I can call you this.
Yeah.
Still, it's disrespectful. Whatever. um. Anyway, so Lachlan says also there's facts and there are conclusions. When he was on a tour bus, what did he see Tate do? Look at, I'll just abbreviate GP. You can insinuate what that means. Flirt with a dude. All these things are instances, not necessarily leading to the conclusion that he is gay. If you want it to, you can make that conclusion. If you have an agenda and you want that to be the conclusion, this seems filled with a lot of conclusions with no saying what was observed. Just a thought. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, it's a I mean, I don't know if there are any like actual I mean, as far as we know, he doesn't even have anything as concrete as like I saw Michael do this. I saw Michael look at this stuff.
He
I
didn't
saw him
yeah,
flirt
he
with a
didn't tell me.
guy. So it's not even any of that. It's just conjecture.
Yeah.
So again, if these allegations are supposed to be taken seriously, we need a little bit more than that. So, but and it's been a month and there hasn't been anything. So it's probably the last of it that we've heard.
Hopefully.
Maybe. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't see Michael ever addressing this situation, and I don't know. I don't think he should.
And honestly, that's
He
probably the
doesn't
best.
really have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that is all of the comments. And oh gosh, we already went 25 minutes. I was gonna shoot for 15, but whatever. We're doing our best. Oh, and I forgot. I didn't even address the album of the week. Come on, guys. You're supposed to keep me on top of these things.
Oh,
You
sorry.
have some good comments.
So, album of the week is Goliath by Steve Taylor and the Perfect Foil. Speaking of Steve Taylor, fantastic album. I love this album so much. It's in my top 10 Christian albums of all time. Just a great super group of veteran Christian artists, including Peter Furler, formerly of the Newsboys. It's just a great rock and roll album. And I wish Steve Taylor would come back and make more music, but that's what we got. So that's Goliath there. Also, don't forget, I've got my other show, Podwood Forecast. We just released our favorite albums of 2024, and we're working on our favorite movies, our favorite films of 2024, and that'll be coming out when it's out. But yeah, so I guess we should get to the interview. Just a quick question for you guys. Were either of you familiar with Say Goodnight, Kevin, prior to this interview?
Nope.
I was not.
Yeah. Nope. It's all good. So Say Goodnight, Kevin, for those of you who have not been really following this channel for a while, was actually very, very instrumental in what I do now on YouTube. So Say Goodnight, Kevin. Kevin, basically his content is mostly reviewing Christian movies, and he does it in a very funny and yet insightful way. And I discovered him when I was just kind of on this big like movie review kick, just watching movie reviews on YouTube and such. And I just really appreciated his niche. It was really funny, and yet he taught me a lot about how we should focus more on how Christian creatives should put more effort into their art, and showed me a lot about basically holding Christian entertainment up to the same standards as secular entertainment. And so he showed me a lot about that. And so so when I started this channel, I guess not when I started the channel, because I was like 14 when I first uploaded a video to YouTube. But when I started taking it more seriously, and I wanted to do content related to Christian music, I was like, I'll basically be the Say Goodnight Kevin for Christian music. And so his content and his style was a big inspiration especially for the early videos that I did. And not only that in terms of being an inspiration, but he's also been very helpful personally. I started writing for his website, because he wanted to like turn his website more into a blog, and he wanted someone to write some movie reviews, not just for Christian movies, but for just like movies in general. And so I volunteered, and I wrote for him. I wrote weekly movie reviews, maybe I think it was for like a year. And so that was a lot of fun and brought some attention to my channel. So if you guys have been, following me ever since then, leave a comment. If we've still got any Say Goodnight Kevin crossover, shout out. So yeah, and I've been wanting to do something with Kevin for a while. It never really worked out. And then I started doing this show, and I knew that Kevin was someone that I wanted to have on as a guest, especially just to catch up on things, because he hasn't been uploading as consistently as he used to, mostly because he's been working as an editor for the Daily Wire and for a lot of their content. And so so we talk about that, and we talk about just a forewarning, we do talk a little bit about political related stuff. I mean, not like details like, Trump did this the other day, or Elon Musk. It's more about the conversation about, I guess, what we've talked about before on this channel concerning like having dialogue with people that we don't agree with, and how to like reach across that aisle, and just all stuff relating to that. And we talk about, the state of Christian entertainment today, of course, and just what it means to be a YouTuber and all the stuff that goes into that. So really excited for you guys to check this out. I hope you guys do stick around for this conversation, because it's a lot of fun, and Kevin is a talkative guy, and so he has a lot of cool stuff to say. So I'm very, very grateful for him taking the time to do this. So any last words, guys, before we get into the interview?
Alrighty.
I'm sorry, I feel like I've been kind of dominating the episode. We'll have more to talk about once we get back. So stay tuned after the interview for my humble opinion and all that. So cool. Well, I guess this is the half-hour mark. So we'll take a break, and then we'll be back with Kevin with the interview. So don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
This time
on the Podwood Forecast. They wanted to hate it.
That's right. They're haters, dude.
Yeah.
They're on that haterade. I wanted to like it. The classic haters gambit.
Haterade. I've never heard that before.
Really? Oh god. I'm like showing my zoomer there. I feel
Quench your thirst with some haterade.
Yeah, man.
While there is some great like old school live action Disney movies. What?
Sorry, I'm just I'm just going through. I'm going through Davy Crockett movies on Letterboxd, and one of the top results is from 1950. No, wait, where'd it go? 1954, Davy Crockett, Indian fighter.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the
Davy
thing.
Crockett seeks a truce with his Indian foes.
That's the thing. That's
it's just such a funny name. Davy
Indian
Crockett,
fighter.
Indian fighter.
That's what they called him. Like I said at the beginning of the movie, a baby dies, and that is their baby. Their baby dies and falls to its death. And it's nothing funny about it, Mitchell.
It's a baby. It's their baby. Their baby dies. It falls to its death. I just thought that summary was really funny, bro.
Listen to the Podwood Forecast wherever podcasts are found. Guys, I just got done with a video call interview for the show, and I have to say that it was like the smoothest experience ever. Didn't have any issues or anything, and the video came out almost perfect. And do you know why? It's because I used Riverside. Riverside is your online recording studio where you can record a conversation with any guest online. You can easily record podcasts and videos in studio quality from anywhere, all from your browser or their mobile app. All you have to do is get your setup ready, send your guests a link for them to join, have them join from their phone or their computer, and just chat away. A lot of podcasts that you listen to are probably using Riverside, honestly. What sets Riverside apart is that a recording of your audio and your video is happening locally on your computer. So even if your connection isn't that good, it doesn't ruin the entire recording or anything. Once you've finished recording, you will get the individual tracks of each speaker and also a combined one. You'll receive all the raw files, including that Pepsi crystal clear uncompressed audio in up to 4K video. There's also lots of really cool features where you can edit your video right in their site. So, you're a YouTuber, a podcaster, or streamer, or a content creator of any kind, and you want to have high quality conversations with your guests, please use my link in the description and sign up for Riverside. If you want to support me in the channel, please use my link since I end up getting a cut from the sales. I'm not joking. Please support me. Sign up for Riverside and start recording today. Hey you. Are you a Christian artist, musical artist, or a musical artist who is a Christian? Well, you got music, you got music that you made, you got music that you're trying to get out there. Do you want it to be on my show? Well, it can be, and here's how. You go to the link in the description, submit a form, fill that all out, send me your music, and we'll get the song of your choice on this segment, the Spotlight segment, and the whole world will hear your music. And it's gonna be great, and I'm out of breath for some reason. Be a Spotlight artist today, maybe not today, in the next episode, but it's gonna be fun. It's completely free. All I ask is that you promote the show, promote the episode that your song is on, and that's it. That's all I ask. But I want to support you. I want to support other Christian artists and get your stuff out there. So yeah, let's do it, baby. Spotlight artist, become one. Be it. Yeah, that's the ad. I definitely wanted to catch up because you've been pretty busy. You still upload, but sparingly.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't know if you want me to talk about you. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's
On okay.
talk about
Oh,
it.
okay. I
No holes barred.
yeah. No, it's been the busy part, but it's all I don't know. I also have found relaxation and enjoyment in other things as I've gotten older. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've I've come to really value my nights and weekends, and that's the time that typically I was really gung ho about trying to make it in this crazy world called YouTube. And so I really do
Sure.
find that when I'm like, okay, I like I like having a channel. I like knowing like people are um pretty faithful in the sense that if I make a video and I release it, it's going to get like the core audience is going to watch and they're going to be like, "Hey, glad to see you back,"
Yeah.
or "I forgot about you," and
You're
and
still alive?
yeah. But then if people, I just don't know that there's much I can do to make it grow. And
Mm.
as I get older, the cost benefit of how much you do have to do to make a YouTube channel grow versus how much I love playing Mario, where it starts to,
Yeah.
we're spending time with my wife or my friends, or I've been like, even throughout the winter, I enjoy doing like yard work or building things. And I've been doing a lot of that. And,
Sure.
and so then before that, I did spend a lot of time working uh, uh, about a year ago. And then this year, work hasn't been as demanding, but again, like
Mm.
if I had no job because YouTube was my job, then I would work as hard as I do at my job at YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But because that never happened, because it never got to the point where I could match what other people were offering for me to do the same thing that like I couldn't afford myself. I couldn't afford to pay myself. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
that
that's a good way to put it.
other people could hire me and I could work for them. And so uh, it's funny. I was always kind of when I started my channel. Oh, see, it's just a
Oh,
flood
that's the
warning.
warning.
Yeah, just a flood
Oh,
warning.
that's all.
Yeah. So
Got to go build an ark
if I
now.
start floating away, then you'll know, oh, it's the flood.
Yeah, the water just kind of rises around you. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
Like,
I'm
well,
good. Let's just
no,
keep talking.
keep going. We're in a great conversation. Uh, for
Yeah, we're in
people
the middle of
listening,
the storm.
yeah,
Yeah, because this is going to come out like a week later.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, everyone will forget what the weather was like. Uh,
right.
but it's raining and potentially tornadoes, though I don't know if any actual tornadoes have. I know they have like further west. There were some this past week.
Yeah, I think Alabama is like in a state of emergency, something like that. I saw
Yeah.
that on the news. So yeah, kind of crazy weather things happening.
Yeah, just talking about the weather,
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Southern
so
weather.
YouTube, that's not one of the albums on my list that I made, but good
Oh yeah,
reference nonetheless.
yeah.
Uh,
Almost reference for
that was
all
that
you.
was almost on the list, so
It was
that's
almost
a lot of
okay.
puns to be made in
Right.
surrounding that. Uh,
But that's for the end.
yes.
We'll get to that.
So YouTube is just it's a beast, it's a monster that I'm also somebody who there are ways to podcasting and YouTube's doing the YouTube. See, and I'm getting older, so I
Hmm.
can't connect. I
The
say the
YouTube
YouTubes.
machine.
You can't connect with kids these days. Uh, but it's just that's kind of that's the situation that I find myself in. I'm slower. I move slower these days. When you don't like it's a catch 22 because if your income is depending on like your whole income is dependent on you making these videos, um,
Mm-hmm.
then you have that motivation. But you also have that like dread and that trap.
Yeah.
I've
Mm-hmm.
heard YouTubers say, yeah, had to get this video out because I have a sponsor for this video.
Mm.
And uh, and so not having that is see, it's that sounds real nice to have to have like, oh, what a problem, somebody's giving you money and now you have to do the work for the money.
Yeah.
But you have that responsibility and you really can't take a break when you've made that your livelihood, just like I
Right.
can't take a break from my day job. I mean,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can, but you have to then put, you're looking at PTO and just all kinds of grown up things. And
All the boring stuff.
yeah. And
Hmm.
so I think that I'm the race, I like the race to be a big YouTuber is I don't have that passion like I used to like
Hmm.
really try to become this big YouTube star. And that kind of gives me a little bit of freedom to when I see it I think yeah, the most recent video I did was a review of that Chiefs Christmas uh
Oh yeah.
movie.
Hmm.
And um and that was fun. And I watched a lot of NFL this year, and so doing that, I was already in the football mood, and I was really in the
Hmm.
Christmas mood, and super in the Taylor Swift mood, and so,
Weren't we
so
all?
yeah, I mean, who can't, who
Whether we
isn't?
want it to be or not.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know what, this would be fun, and I had a blast doing that, and it felt really good to make a video again and
Hmm.
do it because I like doing it and not because um, I have some sort of obligation to do it.
Right. Yeah. And I guess that often comes up when it comes to the conversation about art and creativity. It's like when money is involved, it tends to taint it. It makes me think of, because yeah, you have those YouTubers that they've put all their all their hopes and dreams and efforts into the YouTube channel. Like they've quit their job or whatever, and so like their YouTube channel is their source of income, it is their job. And so they're like, I have to be making content, and for a lot of YouTubers it becomes more about the content, it becomes more about the quantity rather than the quality. And it makes me think of like earlier today I was just watching, I mean, no matter what some people may think of him, but I was watching a PewDiePie video.
Hmm.
And he used to, he was daily uploads
Yeah.
every day. And now he's like, you know what? I'm at a point where I don't need to do that anymore. And he just makes a video when he feels like it.
Yeah.
And I think it's some of his best content, and I have so much more respect for creatives who they want to do it because they like it, and I guess I need to find myself, I need to find a happy medium, because this isn't my job, but also maybe I need the more motivation to
Yeah.
to
Well,
do more.
it is funny because those are, it's like two ends of the spectrum. You've got PewDiePie, who he probably could have stopped doing daily uploads 10 years ago and would have
Right.
been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or 5 years ago. I don't know. Whenever he was, yeah,
Sure.
probably 7 at least years ago. When
Yeah.
he was the biggest YouTuber on and hit like a billion subscribers, whatever.
Yeah.
And um, so that's, and then you've got on me, who I just uh, I I always was able to fund, through Patreon and through
Mm-hmm.
like uh, crowdfunding, fund what it took to maintain the website, maintain um, the channel, but never
Yeah.
able to make an income off of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then being at a place where I'm like, well, at some point, I felt like, not that I felt like I needed to get off the treadmill, but I just felt like I don't know that, especially with the videos that I decided to make, and maybe my own perfectionism. I don't I I can't do the thing where I'm just cranking out videos. I've
Right.
tried to do it, but then I really want to, like, oh well, maybe I'll make this edit and I can do that for a job. I can be pretty like calculated and intentional about, all right, this video will take this long, so these are the things that I'll choose not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Though sometimes that's probably one of my flaws is I'll stay a little later, I'll push a little harder to get to do the more creative thing. Um,
Yeah.
you know, just because I I like making fun stuff in videos.
Right. Yeah. And would you say you're a bit of maybe a perfectionist?
Yeah, when it comes to videos,
Yeah.
not in anything else in my life. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
I've gotten better as I've gotten older. I used to be, when I was young, I was a real slob, but I think I've gotten
Mm-hmm.
better in other areas in my life. I like things to be clean and organized, and but
Yeah.
I also will. This is something, because my wife is very clean and organized and has always been. That's something that, like, for me, I will, when I'm working on a video, when I'm working on that thing that I'm working on, everything else uh, takes a
Just
backseat.
goes to the wayside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've always been that way, where like the dishes will be piling up, and Carmen, before we were married, she would come over and she's like, "You've got dishes piled up in your sink." And I'm like, "Yes, because I'm working on a video. I'm going to do it, but right now,
Someday.
yeah, once I'm done, and then I'll have a nice break of listening to a podcast and washing the dishes.
Yeah.
But until the video's done, I'm not going to stop and wash the dishes because the video's not done yet. So,
I'm
uh,
absolutely the same way. Yeah. And I am also selective in my perfectionism. I'd say mostly I am not a perfectionist, but there's some things I decide to be
yeah.
for some reason.
Well, I think
But
with videos, it's because it's probably it comes from maybe insecurity, maybe like I know what's
mm,
going out there. If I had someone coming over and I had dishes piled up, I'm gonna clean that up. So
sure,
it's like,
yeah.
this is going out there, people are gonna see it, so I want to, like, hide all of the things I'm embarrassed about myself. And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
which, I mean, you would think the answer would be just don't make videos if you want to do that. But
Yeah, it'd make your life so much easier.
I need the compliments. I need people to say they like them, and
You
that's
need
what
the
I'm. Yeah.
affirmation. Yeah,
So
I hear that.
that's it, but you're right. Finding that happy medium of where, like, how do you like how do you make something and find a way to, like, make money off of it and be passionate about it, or find the time to to chase chase the dream.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's for me. um I probably I probably I no I what I was about to say is I probably could have worked harder, and that's probably true, but I always felt that even when I was working the hardest on my channel.
Sure.
And that's what I think I was taking a break from more than anything, is that
Mhm.
guilt that maybe I wasn't doing enough, and that's why I never had a viral video. And I think that's probably the wrong perspective, but I don't know what the right perspective is. Um, and so,
Yeah. I mean, also there's also the perspective of, your channel is definitely a lot bigger than a lot of other channels. So there are other creators who could be jealous of your success.
yeah,
So, and
that's
like you said,
absolutely true. Like, the amount of uh times you look at somebody like PewDiePie, and I'm like, man, if I just made this change, and you could see in my channel, like, moments where I tried to be like another channel, or tried to do, and sometimes
mm,
that was good. I mean, even the movie reviews was me watching Nostalgia Critic, and then
Sure, yeah.
trying to mimic that.
The nostalgia Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that so you have to do that. You have to draw inspiration and stuff from somewhere.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
there definitely is that struggle of uh like chasing the algorithm. And oh, but if I could show my like 15-year-old self the things that I've gotten to do in my life, if
Mhm.
I could show the 25-year-old Kevin that I was going to build a channel that had 30,000 subscribers, then I I would I would be impressed with myself.
Yeah.
And that is something that it is nice that I never wanted to just have algorithm based success,
Right.
because what I wanted was to make videos that people really liked and that people responded to and that I enjoyed making and could make the jokes that I liked making that people got in kind of
Mhm.
this niche world. And because of that, it I always kind of compared it to like a tree where like the stronger, like a harder wood, it takes longer to grow because it's smaller layer, so it's tighter wound uh,
Yeah.
wood and grain, I guess. And so trees that grow really fast are softer wood. And I do feel like that's the reason why I can go a year or half a year and then put out a video and people are still there to watch it,
Right.
because there isn't, I feel like the fan base is more, oh, when you can, you'll put out a video and we'll all hang out and watch it. Um, but
Mhm.
the trade-off is how many. PewDiePie is a bad example because I think he does have a dedicated fan base, but the
Oh,
percentage of
sure.
his subscribership is compared to like the people who actually watch his videos is very small, because he also
Right.
has had those big moments of floods of subscribers coming in.
Right.
And so I think there is that balance. There's nothing wrong with chasing the algorithm and being strategic about the videos that you make. But
Sure.
on the other hand, if you are only doing that and aren't like paying attention to what people are, building like actual entertainment instead of like this might hit the algorithm and then people will accidentally watch it and then I'll get a viral video, and then you know, then what? Keep making that same viral video. I feel like that's what TikTok is, or any of the like reels.
Mhm.
I'll get suggested some random person who I would never choose to watch, when you're just swiping through and you're like, I've seen them do this sketch 400 times. Like
Mm.
it's Instagram has pushed the same couple making the same joke 40 times to me.
Sure, yeah.
And why? Like, how dedicated is that fan base? Will most people who watch those videos come back and say, "Oh man, I just love when they're doing the same joke again"?
It was just as funny the second
Yeah.
time or the fifth time. I guess that's when it just proves that they that it's just content.
Hmm.
And they're not really making it for a dedicated audience. They're making it for the algorithm and for the random people that are going to come across it. They're not worried about people calling them out. And yeah, it's a delicate balance, I mean, of course you don't want to just like put out crap and then just assume that the numbers are going to come, but you don't also want to chase, you don't want your whole entire focus to be the numbers, because then that can jeopardize the art, that can jeopardize what you're trying to do, because you're trying to appeal to maybe a broader audience than you really need to. And I think that's a common criticism when it comes to just the entertainment industry, like music and film and everything, and as well as a lot of the stuff that you cover with Christian entertainment, with films and everything. You can kind of pick out the ones that really they they didn't care so much about they care too much about appealing to a broader audience. You know, uh, it's yeah,
Yeah.
you have to put the effort into it, but also don't don't care too much, I
Well,
guess is what I'm trying to say.
you have to put the effort into it, but just because you put a lot of effort into it doesn't mean the audience will show up.
Sure.
There isn't a if you build it, they will come. If you build it even harder, they will come even more. Uh, it's
Build
not.
more baseball
Yeah,
fields.
exactly. Well, but I worked so hard on this baseball field and nobody showed up. They sometimes something doesn't connect. I think YouTube's cool because you can't. It is a test market. You can both do.
Hmm.
You're essentially doing market research uh, and promotional material at the same time, and you're promoting yourself. You're figuring out what works, and you as an individual can do this kind of A/B testing, trial and
Yeah.
error, and see what works, see what's working with your audience. And I really do think that early on, when you have smaller numbers, I'm reverting to the YouTube, I mean the inner tube, which is a
Oh
podcast my
yeah.
friend and I used to do, talking about
Hmm.
this very thing. But just we early on, like you have to take the comments with a grain of salt. I'll see people get like 100 views and they'll get like 3 comments and they're like, so I'm switching my channel because I got this comment. And it's like, you can't let 2 people control what you're doing
Right.
personally with your videos. You have to take it really, uh, you should do early on, just do everything based on instinct
Hmm.
and let what you think works, because you want that trifecta of content where we used to Josh and I used to talk about this on the inner tube, where you have to get something that you feel you're good at, something that you enjoy doing, and something that people enjoy you doing. And so
Right.
you don't ever, if you sway too far away from any of those things, um, then you're not going to enjoy what you're doing. I feel like if you have a viral video that is uh, you know, a guy does a backflip to steal your girlfriend in those sketches that, that you see.
Those are always the best.
Yeah.
They
Oh, he
give
doesn't
they
have
make
an
me so
arm. Oh, he
emotional.
does have an arm. And the girl went for the other guy who took his shirt off. Oh my goodness. Can't
It's
believe
so
how
low
shallow
IQ.
she was.
It's
Then
basically like Darman videos.
right. Do you really you know, maybe you do enjoy that and you're really good at it. And I mean, I have seen analyses of Darman videos where it's like he actually is good at that thing.
Hmm.
There is like a rule book, I guess, of how they make those videos.
There's a
But it
format for sure.
but it is low IQ content, and
Room temperature IQ, as the kids say.
yeah, and so they finding that, like, and early on, it's not gonna be what people like. It's gonna be what you like doing and what you feel you're good at doing. And I think
Hmm.
that takes a lot of like self-awareness, where you're looking at kind of the stuff you're making and saying, okay, this seems like I'm pretty good at doing this thing, and the effort, I don't have to put as much effort into, you can be really good at something but take forever doing it, and then
Right.
you could be making movie reviews, and then those movie reviews take forever to edit because you can't get 2 words out,
Hmm.
or something. You can't get a full sentence out, and then you're making all these After Effects jokes in your movie reviews, and then it takes you months to make one review, and the movie's not even, nobody cares about the movie at that point.
Hmm.
I'm referencing myself, of course. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, I think, that's all if you like, even like or want to play that game. Um, and I think it's amazing. I love the fact that we live in a time when you can make, you can have a podcast, you can have a YouTube channel, the democratization of content.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. Um, it's it's a passion of mine, but then it does take a lot of self-awareness. But unfortunately, um, it's easy to get self-awareness and self-consciousness mixed up. Consciousness? What? My word.
Conscience.
Yes, there you go. My vocabulary is bad today. Uh,
It's okay.
you can
We
be
all have those
insecure.
days.
It's easy to be insecure and have
Mm-hmm.
have that I do this at least, and I think a lot of creative people do this. They confuse that with self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and so then you're like, yeah, I'm really dumb, and it's like, yeah, well, you don't have to say that. You can, and
TMI.
yeah, and you can. Y- it also takes a long time to figure out like what is it that, and if you like doing a podcast or you like doing a having a certain type of videos that you're making, then I know people who they've been making the same they've been making the videos that they love making for years and years and don't have an audience at all, or they
Yeah.
don't have a very big audience and but they like doing it, and uh, I think that's perfectly legitimate uh, unless you're married and your wife says, "Hey, you need to start making money and feeding these
Get an
children."
actual job.
If
Yeah.
you've sired 40 kids, you need to feed them. Stop doing your podcast.
Yeah. I can't support us on my own. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I don't make any money at all off of this channel. I'm not monetized or anything. Mostly just because I'm stubborn and I like to use licensed music. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah.
I have a few
So
videos where I'm like, fine, you know what?
oh yeah, with
It's
like video clips.
you can have it, PureFlix. You can have the
Right.
money as long as you don't take the video
Take
down.
my money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I get those all the time. Especially since I'm talking about music, so I get a little tap on the shoulder, like, hey, that's our music. Like, all right, just keep it up. And um, but I do try to make it like with my content that I am making what I actually like to make, and I do my best to. I mean, with the it's different now because I have this biweekly show, and I haven't had a whole lot of time to make the more like edited projects that take a little bit more time. But I love doing both of them, and I think it's mostly just a time thing for
Mm.
me. But I do my best to make sure that I'm doing what I like, and I'm not compromising really in any way, and because I don't want to be one of those creators that hates themselves because they're just making stuff that they don't care about and they have no interest in.
Yeah.
I mean, part of why I've always said that, like, even if I made no money out of all this, out of all the podcasts that I do and the YouTube videos, even if I made no money, I feel like I would still do it just because it's like a hobby for me,
Yeah.
and I just enjoy it. So, but sometimes I feel like, if I had more time,
That's
but
life, man. Time and money. I just
right.
had a little more time and a little more money, but you never
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is. Uh, but like speaking of that, I kind of switching the conversation a little bit
Yeah, I
because
was wondering if this was at all what you wanted to talk about today. I kind
no,
of
no, yeah, I mean,
okay.
I love talking about it because as a YouTuber myself, I'm interested in that. That side of things, but I mean, a big reason why I wanted to have you on was to basically just talk about what you've been up to lately. Like, I know that you were, I don't know if you still are, but you were working with the Daily Wire.
Hmm.
Is that still a thing
Yeah,
that's going on for you?
yeah, that's 3 year anniversary actually, just
Nice.
yesterday.
So would you
So,
say that that's kind of like your main thing? Like
hmm,
that's your job
yeah,
now?
yeah, that's my
Awesome.
full-time job is working there. I actually work with on the kids side, so I'm the lead editor of kids content at Daily
Nice.
Wire, and it's fun. for the first year I was there, I was working on Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and
Right. Yeah. I remember when
those.
you first posted a video, it's like, hey, I edited this. Like, what?
Yeah,
You're working for Ben Shapiro?
and
That's awesome.
that's fun. And I'm not opposed to moving back over there, doing it depending on how life goes. I'm not opposed to
Yeah.
working on their stuff again, but it's been really nice working on the kids' content because it's apolitical. And I've
Mm-hmm.
also my whole career, I feel I've made kid centric, like kid type stuff. I worked on Adventures in Odyssey stuff. I've worked on Adventures in Odyssey stuff for years, and
I actually didn't know that.
oh
It's like
well,
with
primarily their
the.
podcast. Um,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
and big fan of Adventures in Odyssey, so
Oh,
it
sure.
was cool to yeah. I worked at Focus on the Family for a while. When I
I
first
think I remembered you worked at Focus on the
yeah,
Family, but
and so I'm friends with one of their. I'm acquaintances with some of their writers, but friends with one of their writers, Nathan Hubler, and he and I worked together a good bit on their podcast. So
nice.
that's a lot of fun. So that's stuff for kids. And then, I mean, even though my channel isn't strictly, and usually I feel like not for kids, but it's for younger folks.
The young
It's definitely
generation,
not
yeah.
for old people. In fact, I don't want them watching. Get them out of here.
You're too old. Get out
Yeah.
of here.
And so it's been really cool to work on the kids shows. And I also really do. What's nice is, even though I'm not like, I spend so much time criticizing Christian media, and I'm sure a lot of people in Christian media would say, well, Kevin, we're trying to do the thing that you think should be done. I don't like preachy content in any way, shape, or form. I don't like
Right.
when the message uh, takes precedent over the story, or
Mm-hmm.
the content quality and what you're watching. So Daily Wire, when they set out, even though they're a very political organization, them or company, they specifically set out to make kids shows that aren't don't have, like, of course. Ooh,
Is it getting scary over there?
yeah, I think so. It might be a plane flying over, but I also felt like the house rumble. So I don't want there to.
Hmm.
I don't have a phobia of tornadoes, but I also, if I got hit by one, wouldn't survive. And
Well,
so
right. I
I
don't think
have
anyone loves
I think
tornadoes.
it's not a phobia when it's a real thing that could kill you. I
Right.
have a
Yeah,
phobia
no.
of a lion that lives in my house that is aggressive and dangerous. It's not a phobia, sir. You've put
Well, it's
yourself in a
just a
dangerous
big cat.
situation.
Nothing
So
to be afraid of.
that's why I stopped just then, was because
Yeah.
my house
No
started to
worries.
rumble. Um,
No worries.
but I think it's fine. Uh, all right. So what was I saying? Oh, I was
Talking about Daily Wire.
outing myself as a conservative. Um, well, what's interesting is because anybody who watches my channel knows I tend to be very, like, kind of libertarian. I tend to be
Yeah, I was
very
gonna
libertarian,
say,
and
which is funny because I remember when you like first mentioned it in a video. Like, we're friends on Facebook, so I think I knew more than a lot of subscribers when you first mentioned it in a video, just like outright. Like, I've been working for the Daily Wire. I remember seeing a couple. Mostly everyone was, okay with it, but I saw
yeah,
a couple people that are like disappointed,
yeah,
unsubscribing.
yeah,
I'm like, how is this a surprise to you? Like,
yeah,
you haven't, like, I mean, no, your content isn't like outright political or anything, but you've not shied away like when
yeah.
it comes up in a video. So
Yeah.
it was just funny that
Yeah,
people
I do think
did
that's funny.
that.
I think it is a weird, like, middle ground where, because I make fun of Christians and because Christianity has a history in the last, since in America at least, of having this very conservative, uh Republican connected,
Mm-hmm.
um so then I'm making fun of Christians. So especially people who grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, they think, well, making fun of Christians equals uh,
They
Democrat, I
go hand
guess.
in hand a
Yeah,
lot of times. Yeah.
yeah. And so I also, but that's again the cultivating an audience. I've always felt like um, I I take the middle road on a lot of things because I see things that way.
Sure.
I even on like atheism, I've had a lot of people who are atheists who are like, Kevin, why are you an atheist, or why aren't you an atheist? Because you're so reasonable. And and I'm like, well, they it's trying to uh, square that circle. Is that the phrase? I don't know. I'm gonna stop
I don't
trying new phrases.
know.
Trying to
It
figure
is
out like
now. It's a
how
phrase
can
now.
I agree so much with this person but also disagree with something so fundamental. And to me, I think I always try to like listen to podcasts and listen to people and analyze what are the things that it's not threatening to me to hear things I disagree with, or to realize that
Right.
people that I look up to think
Hmm.
differently on a particular issue or topic. But I think also in the United States, we've things are so polarized. So it's like, if you disagree
Yeah.
with me, you are evil. But I thought I liked you, Kevin, and now I realize you're evil now. Um, and so, but what I like about
So sad.
the Daily Wire is that I don't agree with everything, and I have had plenty of conversations with people at work, and there's a lot of people there who disagree on different aspects. And what's funny is
Hmm.
I remember a friend of mine um, who was talking about how they were in a Christian band, and they were on a Christian record label, and he was like, it's not like you're getting two contracts, one from the secular label and another one from the Christian label, and saying, choose one. Usually, the people signed to a Christian record label weren't given a contract from any other label. That's the only one, and
Sure.
so then they're like, yeah, yeah, sure. This is why you have a lot of Christian artists end up trying to cross over and say, no, we were just
Right.
Christians in a band, because they're trying
Yeah.
to kind of then take the next step in their career to say, well, we're done with that label that made us be Christian, because that's what they were. And now I'm moving up. And then I was thinking, like, if anybody, when I was getting comments saying like, I'm so disappointed in you, Kevin, I respected you and thought you were cool, but now you're part of the enemy or whatever. And
Yeah.
uh, if anybody who, like, in the Say Goodnight Kevin community and audience and whatnot, got a job at like with the Young Turks or
Hmm.
MSNBC
CNN.
or anywhere, I would be like, that would be awesome. Like, it would never pop into my head to say that, you know,
Right.
because that's cool. Like, even if
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of if it was some sort of like uh terrorist organization, then I would say like, hey, have you thought about not uh but even if it's somebody that I disagree with politically, that isn't specifically I can't think of anybody who I would be like, if somebody started working for the Bernie Sanders campaign or something, I would be like, well, that's pretty cool that you're like working
Yeah.
with
You're
Bernie
you're
Sanders.
getting up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, even on that level of like just a professional level of, hey, this YouTuber that you like, he got a job with this company that's nation known nationwide. It's a big media company.
Hmm.
Um, and also not a legacy media company. It's a very successful new media company.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm just glad I got a job.
Right.
And and it's but also Daily Wire is not far from my political beliefs either. As
Hmm.
somebody who's libertarian, there's times where I'll hear things that Ben Shapiro says, and I'm like, well, I don't, especially during the Trump era, and it's like constant, like, thing I agree with and then thing I disagree with, and then thing, I'm
Yeah.
like, because to me, I'm much more like, let's trim down the government. So like when people are like, hey, Elon's gonna, to me, when I heard that Elon was going to be involved, I'm like, well, great, because the people who are, again, just like people being surprised about me working for Daily Wire, people being surprised that Elon is talking about trimming down the government. He's been saying that forever. Like
Right.
he's posted Murray Rothbard quotes on Twitter for years.
Mm-hmm.
Free market Austrian economists and stuff. And to me,
Right.
everything, all of that is very like economics based for me. I
Right.
just think that I love the free market, and I think it's done some amazing stuff, and I think it could
Yeah.
do even more amazing stuff. So that's kind of where but I've always said that in my videos. I've always talked about that. There's been videos that
I think.
complete.
Yeah, I
I
think you
think
did like a
like,
whole video where you were. There was that one Kevin Sorbo film, I think, where it was like supposed to be pro
oh yeah,
libertarian or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And that
Uh,
was an interesting one. But yeah,
that
you
and
talked a
then
lot about libertarianism in
yeah.
that one.
And then I remember with Christmas with a capital C, that's like one of those where you can see where I differ from conservatives
Mm-hmm.
on kind of like on social freedom and free speech and that kind of thing. And even in the God's Not Dead movies, which are my most popular reviews, I
Mm-hmm.
usually come at those from, all right, but let's look at this in the sense that, yeah, this is a public institution that she works for, like with the second one where she works for a public school. So you have to take that into account. It's not strictly a free speech issue because she's hired by the government. So she's an
Mm-hmm.
employee of the government. And so this movie isn't considering that, but we're going to consider that
Right.
as I was going to say movie reviewers, but I realized that that's like a cultural review more than it is a movie review. It's a cultural analysis,
Sure.
I guess, more than and it is kind of that's the fun thing about my reviews is there are reviews, not bragging on my reviews, but getting to do the reviews. And
Right.
also that's what's really cool about me and my channel
And how awesome you
and
are.
how awesome I am. Yeah. No, but that's what's fun about it is there are times when I'm looking at a, a movie, and here's another thing. This is probably rude of me to talk because you don't want to talk bad about your audience,
I
but
don't.
but
Are you going to
I'm
talk
gonna
bad about my audience?
no, I'm gonna talk bad about mine.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I'm sure they're used to
and
it.
a lot of this is a rant about those responses that you
Sure.
mentioned.
I mean, they unsubscribed anyway, so who
Yeah,
cares?
but though I think a lot of them did. I think that's also funny because
Okay.
they'd commented on the next video. So
Sure.
uh, the I the amount of like I have not stressed about anything with my videos more than making sure I'm not being too one-sided
Mm-hmm.
on issues like that, on especially political issues,
Sure.
especially for the more left-leaning audience members, because I know that I grew up in a much more right-wing environment. And so I know that I'm more left in that regard. I'm more left socially than I think the more than my parents would be, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm more right economically than anybody else that I know.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Sure.
where free market, if you're looking at the thing. Anyway, but I try not to be too preachy. Just like I mean, it's a review, so it's going to be more preachy than a movie because it's not a story.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
like, I just think it's funny because I've tried really hard not to be too alienating, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. And so then a moment I say one thing and then they're like, "We're done with you." And I'm like, "I've worked so hard for you to make sure that I'm not misrepresenting you guys."
Right.
And so at
Yeah.
some point you just got to be like, "Well, I I wish you wouldn't because I've never tried to offend you guys, but I also am not trying to not offend people. I'm still going to say the things that I think and believe."
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just something that it's. I mean, you can't make everyone happy, and we've lost the art in. It's like a lot of people, both on the left and the right, just can't fathom having it's this whole guilty by association thing. It's like, oh, you work for the Daily Wire. Oh, you must agree with everything that Ben Shapiro says. I mean, there are people that there are people that call Ben Shapiro, of all people, a Nazi, you know? So they have that in their minds. And so because you're associated, they're like, well, I'm done. But, and I've talked about it before on this channel, just because, you know, politics just kind of come up in every, you know, subject, even Christian music. I praise it whenever, like, anyone is able to just like have a conversation. Like there's this podcast called the Black Sheep Podcast where they have musicians on and such, and the hosts are pretty liberal leaning. And they had John Cooper from Skillet on, who has
my
been
faith, my family,
Yeah,
my
exactly.
freedom.
My freedom. Yeah. While being
Yeah.
constipated.
I was literally thinking about that because so many of the bands that I grew up listening to are, you know, have come out very much more liberal, or at least maybe haven't even come out. You have
Yeah,
like
it's true.
the Caedmon's Call guy,
Derek Webb. Yeah.
Derek Webb, who
Very well associated with him.
lives right here in the town that I live in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, he lives in Nashville, so
Right.
I've ran into him a time or two, and but you know, most people would consider a much more liberal version of a former Christian
Yeah.
musician, and then John Cooper, and I'd love to have them just do like a Bill Nye style debate.
That would be so fun.
Just go at it.
Yeah.
That would be the most unproductive conversation, but boy, would that be entertaining.
Well, hey, I mean, John Cooper is actually, he's nicer than you would think, because like on that episode that he was on, it was like one of the most cordial conversations ever. Like they were able to find common ground, and it's just like, man, I wish that we could like have that more. But it's like, just because you're associated with someone, or I'm sure I'm going to have a guest on my show that people are going to find problematic. But it's like, you know, I mean, unless maybe for some people, obviously, yeah. But like,
but I would hate for people to not hate, but that's the thing. That's why I even said something on my channel, because I about where I work, because I know that it's controversial. I know that it's a place that maybe people would be surprised by, but I also think that I trust the audience, and most people were like, "That's really cool," or "I don't agree with it, but that's awesome that you got a job there," or something.
Yeah. Normal responses.
That type of respectful conversation, especially, I tend, you know, like I've said 20 times now, I'm very libertarian. I lean basically anarcho-capitalist. I would get rid of all of the government and just have the free market. And of course, who would build the roads if we did that? But I don't know. That's
someone
not for me
would,
to figure
obviously.
out.
Yeah,
Someone would.
We'll just let them figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. They figured out how to make a Snuggie. They can figure out how to make a road.
Just get those same people.
Free market is incredible. So
the same people who made the Snuggie, get them on the roads.
Get them a road. They'll make a road. But so I'm used to most people, because most people aren't that way. Everybody thinks there should be somebody in charge,
right?
Some form of government, so I'm used to, and maybe that's my middle child nature in me, who I'm like, can't we all just get along? Can't we see both sides here? And it is why I when I was podcasting and did the Say Goodnight Kevin podcast, I wanted to just have anybody on the podcast and have conversations, because I do think in a like this type of conversation, you can find those types of, you're usually not going to get in a yelling match with somebody when you're talking face to face with them, the way we do on Facebook in the comments. And I'm sure you've seen me on Facebook end those sorts of arguments with, "Hey, sorry for being a little aggressive," because I'll find myself responding, and then I'm like, I shouldn't burn bridges like that over politics or over,
Sure.
you know, especially around election year, we get real snippy.
Yep. Everything gets heated. Yeah. I've kind of just I mean, I've kind of just learned to I'm just shying away from that, because like it's gotten to the point where it's like I'm gonna post something that I think that most people can agree on, and then like I log in later after posting and I'm like, oh, everyone hates me now apparently.
It's
So
oh.
what can
The
you
other day
do?
I responded to somebody. I've had this happen before, and it makes me feel old, like an old man, where and I'll respond as if, because I assume they're posting about something in the news right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, the government, and then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm like, they were just posting their favorite verse. They weren't making a statement about Ukraine.
it wasn't a subtweet
Yeah,
as they're
exactly.
called.
And then I'm like, that's what uh people I used to respect used to do to me when I was young.
Mm,
And I've had
sure.
that happen where I'm like, oh man, I became friends with this person on Facebook because I grew up listening to their music, and then they start posting political rants, and I'm like, or they start
Uh,
jumping into your comments. I know it's hard because sometimes I feel like I don't stand up for what I believe in enough.
mm,
I get that feeling too, where I'm like, not on Facebook. Facebook
right.
arguments never, but like even in my videos, where that I would have led people to believe that I led people to not actually know what I believe about anything, because
Mm,
I am trying to be too like uh understanding, and
mm,
but I also I so one of the big here's something that I believe. One of the biggest things that I believe about content that is misunderstood by people who don't make it is this idea that because you have an audience, you have some sort of responsibility. I don't think that people listening to what you have to say comes with any responsibility. I think that
right.
and the reason why is because I think people who disagree with you are far more likely to leave than to change their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my experience. Now, it doesn't mean that people who disagree, but kind of, I have had people message me and say, hey, like actually one of the people who commented on me working at Daily Wire then later said, hey, I'm kind of leaning more libertarian, and sorry for being, like, they apologized to me out of the blue.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, that's really nice of you. But I didn't change their mind. They
Mm,
came to me because they know I'm somebody who has talked that way in the past.
sure.
And I think that that fear of, like, of course I'm sure that there's a responsibility. You don't want to incite a riot or whatever. But I do think it's the responsibility of the people rioting to be the ones to not
Right.
riot.
Yeah. Ultimately, it comes to your personal choice, but I mean, still people, just be, you know what? I'm not going to go down that road,
Well,
but
yeah, but well, my point in relation to having a channel and having,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I, it's kind of the is this one for the people, the DC Talk song,
Yeah.
how I'm thinking about, am I offending people, and am I losing people, and is it worth losing people and getting unsubscribed by saying a thing?
Mm,
Far more often than when people comment and say you could draw people away from Christianity because you criticize God's not dead and that's dangerous and stuff. And it's like,
yeah.
well, I think that if people are leaving Christianity because of my review of God's not dead, uh, that's not me. Like, I didn't do that.
Right.
Maybe it's God's not dead. And if they talk to me about it, I would say, I don't think God's not dead represents Christianity. And that's specifically why I criticize it, because I think it's a poor
Right.
representation of Christianity. And so if you're leaving the Church of God's not dead, then yeah, great. I think that maybe my review does draw people. But if you're the one who's like, you need that correlation. You need that that God's not dead must equal Christianity. And so when people say, I don't like God's not dead, now the one criticizing me is the one who's tying those two things together, that one must equal the other. And so I don't know why we got on that topic, but I just I do think that
No, yeah.
sometimes I struggle with, like, am I saying what I believe clearly, or am I being a coward by being vague about
Yeah.
it because I don't want to lose subscribers?
Yeah.
And yes, I am. I'm a coward.
No, I mean, I totally understand. Like, I go through that too. You know, when touchy subjects like that come up in what I talk about on my channel, it's like, how far, like, am I willing to die on this hill right now? And if I don't, is it because I'm trying to, sugarcoat things? And so I think it does definitely take some discretion, but I think ultimately, yeah, I don't think any YouTuber is really going to influence anyone any other way. It does come down to personal choice. I mean, other than the fact, like, I can say, like, a lot of the reasons where I'm at politically, I can accredit to some content that I found, coming across some Jordan Peterson videos or
Coming
Steven
across
Crowder
some Nazi
or
propaganda. You were like,
I was going to say
"Wow."
goodnight, Kevin.
Oh, that's what's the difference?
Right. But
But sure, and I can credit, like, these are the people who have influenced me politically, in my faith, but seeking out people and allowing them to influence you because through, like, I think posting something that's reasonable, and you're like, well, I've been convinced of that through reason,
yeah,
is still a choice. Like, you've chosen to do that because I'm sure you can pinpoint, at least I do this. I talked about that a second ago. I can pinpoint things that people that I respect and look up to. I always think about C.S. Lewis, where C.S. Lewis is one of my favorite authors. But there are things that and one of my favorite books is Mere Christianity, because it's so simple and accessible.
yeah,
Though I think some people believe it's an end all, like, take that, atheists. And I don't think it's that, but I think if you want to be an atheist and you read that book, you will not be convinced not to be an atheist by that
right.
book. But if you are curious about why someone who was an atheist at one point, and a very intelligent person, became a Christian, this is a great book that describes that person's journey. Though there are chapters, I'm not Catholic, and I love all my Catholic brethren out there, but in the book, and C.S. Lewis wasn't Catholic either, but
No,
he
he's
also
Anglican.
he takes he has a chapter about communion, about the Eucharist, and he says, like, I'm going to get into some personal opinion stuff here. And you could skip this if you could skip this whole chapter if you like. And I respect that a lot. And I still, I paid attention to the chapter. And I
Right.
disagree with some of the stuff that he says
Right.
in it. And that's reasoning. So, like, I'm sure with Jordan Peterson or say goodnight, Kevin, you can pinpoint these things that you can say, oh, well, all right, yeah, he's a little weird on that one, or I don't agree with that, and because you shouldn't agree 100% with everyone.
Right.
If you agree 100% with somebody, then
You're probably in
you
a
should
cult.
probably reevaluate some
Yeah.
of those things. And so, yeah, I think that's a fascinating it's a fascinating discussion, I think, of how much is influence through reasoning and how much is and how much responsibility does somebody have? Because I really do think, I mean, of course, dumb people can be convinced of things,
Right.
but
Yeah.
then i- is that whose fault is that?
Yeah. It kind of goes
God's.
along. Yeah.
He made them dumb.
He made us this way. It kind of just makes me think of there's the whole conversation revolving around video games and violence.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's an old conversation.
Yeah, we've had that debate for a long time. People say like, "Oh, video games make you violent," and oftentimes
I
people
remember
on the
Mortal
other side,
Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, yeah,
When I was a kid, because Sega Genesis had blood and Nintendo didn't have blood in the Mortal Kombat game.
yeah,
And you can watch when the Super Nintendo first came out and Sega and um like interviews with people. It's
mm.
very funny when the SNES came out. Just well, for one, like people being like, it's not even backwards compatible. I can't play. Why are they doing this? It's all a money making scheme. And then talking about the violence and stuff that it causes,
Mm.
and how Nintendo games were causing kids to, brain rot. We're causing brain rot. And
well, I
yeah.
mean, there might be an argument for that, but but like
But
when it
yeah.
comes to violence, oftentimes the counter argument has always, and I believe it, is that like if video games are going to make you violent, you were probably already a violent person,
Mhm.
already. And then they tried to tie it with like the Columbine shooting. It was
Yep.
video games.
I remember.
It's like if you're gonna shoot up a
Doom.
school, it was yeah. If you're gonna shoot up a school, it's you're probably already so far gone that I don't think
Yeah.
video games could take you. And I
And,
think
and with all the hours of Madden that I've played, you'd think I'd be way more athletic if it was gonna
right.
influence
Yeah,
me.
they never say that it influences you in other ways. It's just
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah.
And I think that like, well, I think it's true that like media entertainment can have, it can influence you in some ways, but I think, ultimately it just comes down to what kind of person you already are and like the things that you already believed. It's like you were probably going to go down that path regardless,
Yeah.
So, because
Yeah,
like
I
we
think
live
that
in a I was just gonna say we live in
we
a
live
day
in
and
a
age.
society.
We
Yeah.
truly do live in a society, and I'm the Joker baby.
Mhm.
Like celebrities get like hounded by fans and such, saying like, oh, you need to like show support for this, because
Mhm.
your voice matters, and it's like, no, it's not. They don't have as much
Yeah.
power as you
Yeah.
think.
I mean, we saw that with the election, just how desperate people were for that Taylor Swift endorsement, and it just mathematically didn't seem to actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no surefire way to know that for sure, but
Yeah. It
it
didn't work.
it's surprising, and nobody thought, I think Trump knew, you know, people were like, Trump, conservatives were like, Trump, why did you say you hate Taylor Swift? You just ruined the election for yourself. And
Yeah.
he didn't think that. And say what you want about the guy, but that's everybody was saying that was a bad idea and that you're going to force her to endorse Kamala. And it was a miscalculation, not on his part. And the I mean, other than, he knew he would steal the election, and so that's
Right.
why he didn't
He's a
care.
confident guy.
He's confident in how well he can steal the election. Uh,
I'm gonna clip
See,
that.
this is what I do on my videos. I will say a thing, and when I'm like, I'm getting too conservative, I better say something the other side thinks as a joke,
gotta
and
bring
then
it down the
everybody's
middle.
happy. Yeah.
I also want to reiterate the fact to anyone who has not seen Say Goodnight, Kevin, before. It's not a political channel. I promise
Yes.
you.
But I
it's
slip
about
my
Christian
politics in
movies.
there.
Yeah, it comes up.
Yeah. Well, because Christian movies are so political. Like, it's funny how often that comes up. I just saw an advertisement for some courtroom drama that was put out by VidAngel that's coming out. It's got the Mrs. Claus from the Santa Claus lady in it. And I normally like VidAngel stuff, though I know there's no like uh uh VidAngel, it's not like Disney where it's like Disney has this particular type of, because VidAngel's all crowdsourced and
Right.
voted on and stuff. But it was like, so you believe in Jesus, do you? Well, isn't that convenient? And it's like, what the heck is this? I don't even know what it
We're
was
back to
called.
God's Not Dead.
Yeah, I was like, this is, and so I see that and I roll my eyes, because it's this political, it's this pseudo political, pseudo Christianity thing that the that was, I haven't even reviewed it, but the most recent God's Not Dead, or not the most recent, maybe it was 4, because I think there's a 5 now that I haven't
I've
even
lost
watched.
track at
Yeah,
this point. It's like the Land
but
Before Time.
yeah, yeah, they stopped numbering them at some point and
Yeah.
just put a subtitle.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is what they did with God's Not Dead, actually. They're
Yeah.
just some subtitle, but
Oh.
the amount of like in conversations in the 4th one, it's like I forget when they're talking about, it's like they start a sentence talking about Christianity, and in the middle they're talking about politics, and by the end they're talking about homeschooling, and I'm like, which is this patriotism? What are you pushing for here? And
Yeah.
it's this amalgamation of all of it, and kind of, you're like, yeah, I agree with that. Wait, no, wait, I thought I agreed with that, but I realized this sentence is about something different. And
Uh-huh.
it's actually, it would be worth a deeper dive. And maybe I'll do that
Sure,
sometime.
yeah. I mean, hey, any new content from you, for
Yeah.
sure. Whatever excuse it is.
Yes. I wish that I could figure out a way. And well, if you watched my channel when Josh and I used to make the bargain bin episodes,
Oh yeah, I loved
that
those. I missed
that was
those.
like, I missed them too. And I loved them because it was like recording a podcast. It was
Yeah.
so much easier. And then I would still go through and kind of adjust some of the jokes and stuff, but it was like, that was the golden piece of content, to be able to like, we can make something that's funny that people like, but takes like a fraction of the effort that it takes to
Mhm.
make a movie review.
Right.
There's 2 reasons why I don't do those. One, Josh just, he was like, I don't have time to do these all the time. So I was like, this is
Yeah.
perfect. And for me, it was less time. For him, it was more time.
Sure.
And then on top of that, they all were getting copyright striked because they were the full movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got too many like actual strikes, and I got 2, and then it was like, if you get a 3rd one, you're done. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Okay, Master YouTube.
Yeah, it scared me. So
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I'll go back to the difficult videos.
The less fun ones.
Yeah.
Don't want to do.
Yeah. They're fun, but it takes so much time. So if you can find like that happy medium of like, this is something that I like doing, that, like the trifecta, but also is like easy to do, that I can
Right.
get it out. But because that's my fear, is if I put something out and people are like, yeah, this is fine, but it's, can you do the big reviews? Can you, finding that way to not feel like people are getting cheated out of um out of what they're used to getting out of the channel.
Right. Yeah. All the expectations that they
Yeah.
have. I wanted to talk a little bit about Christian movies. Because that's your thing. Basically.
I've seen a few of those. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, because like, when you were uploading more regularly, I'm sure you had a lot more time to like kind of keep your finger on the pulse of like what was going on in the Christian movie industry. Do you have a lot of time to do that lately? And how have things changed at all? What's your analysis?
I think I'm the most out of touch with it now since having started my channel. That I've been since, I was pretty out of touch when I did my first review. I thought, I'll do one review, Left Behind. I remember that movie. This will be funny.
Hmm.
And I had heard about like the Kendrick Brothers movies. I actually hadn't watched. I'd seen parts of Facing the Giants,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so like, and so I was like, well, there's a few out there. So I expected I'd do like 3 videos.
Right.
Like I'd do Left Behind, Facing the Giants, and one of the Bible Man things, and maybe the Salty one. Those were, I was like, yeah, I could get like 4 videos out of this.
Yeah.
Um, and so then, as people kept suggesting more and would send me stuff, and then when I was going to like um to junkets, and I worked for a bit for a company called Christian Cinema, and they were like sending me to behind the scenes stuff because they would get invited, so they'd just send me, and they thought that was really funny to send me to these things. Um, and so at that point, this was probably 5 years ago, probably right before COVID.
Mm.
Um, I was the most up on what was happening
Right.
in the world of Christian movies, and then and that's when I started my podcast and was talking to a lot of the directors and stuff. I but now, because I think people aren't even sending me as many movies and trailers and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is probably good, because I that's another part of making videos is this is I'm using your podcast as my therapy session about why or why not
Hey, just
make
as long as it's
YouTube
good
videos.
content.
Yeah. Well, you tell me. You let me know how your views are and if people like it. Uh, the the stress of like, this trailer just dropped and you should say something, and people are waiting for your
Yeah.
opinion on it, Kevin. Is that's a lot, because then it's like, hey, honey, I know we were going to go out to eat tonight, but this God's Not Dead 3 trailer
I
just
know
dropped.
it's
Do you
our
mind if I?
anniversary and everything.
Yeah, but I'm going to stay home and edit this, and then it takes me 3 days anyway to make, even though I thought it would take one night. And then she's like, "Are you done yet?" Though Carmen, is my wife, is very understanding of
Mm-hmm.
that, as far as wives go. Of all my wives,
Yeah.
she's the most understanding. No, she's very
That's
patient
good
with
to
me,
know.
but I also recognize that I have a responsibility of uh, not over not not trying her patience
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that stuff, and especially if there's like a leaky faucet or something that needs to be fixed around the house. I should
Right.
get to that first. So uh, all of that, wow, that's your intro, and I spent all this time talking about the
No,
thing.
no.
So I'm not
You're
as
good.
up on it, though. I am like in a lot of Facebook groups, and have a lot of like Facebook friends who are in the industry, so I'll see when they post stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think during election season, I've gotten a lot of posts that are like el- uh, election and politics
Sure.
based.
Yeah.
Um, I keep up with like what The Chosen is doing. I still am an advocate for The Chosen, just as like, hey, here's an actual piece of content that is good. I've heard that there's that David series that's on Amazon,
Yeah.
um, is something I've seen people who I semi respect. I don't completely respect,
Right.
say, hey, this is
Just a
another
little
good
bit.
show. Yeah. So it could be bad. I would I would not take every recommendation that they would make, but I would at least check out a
Sure.
recommendation
Yeah.
that they would give.
Piqued your
Though I did have
interest.
a friend ask me, and I said, "Yeah, I've heard that it's good," and she was like, "Well," and
It's
I
not.
actually respect her more, and her self
Yeah.
awareness about Christian content.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's, I feel like we've just within the past few years, we're in such an interesting time for Christian visual media, whether it be film or TV, because I think because of shows like The Chosen, there's well, I mean, a lot of it is all thanks to like Angel Studios and such, where it's
Hmm.
just this big rise in Christian streaming, and Netflix has done a couple things, and Amazon Prime now has the David Show, and I think there's an animated Jesus movie coming out with Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And
There's like a one that's Charles Dickens going
Oh,
back in time.
that's the same one. Yeah, it's Charles
Okay.
Dickens' Jesus, which apparently it
Yeah.
was an actual Charles
Yeah.
Dickens book.
It was like a short story that he would read to his kids or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, and so it got Oscar Isaac as Jesus, I
Hmm.
guess, which he played
Charles
Joseph in
Dickens
the
gets
Nativity story.
much more Christian in because I've heard people. I didn't realize this. I've read a lot more of his stuff. People kind of like because I've always felt a Christmas Carol, a Muppet Christmas Carol, is a very strong
No, that is the
like conversion
superior
story.
adaptation of it.
Yes,
It's one of my favorite Christmas films, honestly.
and it is a great story about it's a conversion story.
Yeah,
And so there, and it even name drops, Tiny Tim wanted people at church to see him so they would know what Christ had done for them.
hmm
That even he would, that they would think of humanity and how Christ made the lame to walk and stuff.
yeah,
So it's there, it's in the text. But other Christmas and he's got other Christmas stuff, and he like there's one called I think it's called The Tree, and it talks about all these different things on the Christmas tree, and then the top
okay,
it talks about the nativity, and
nice,
so it's he clearly whether he himself was like a a strong believer, he at least recognized the marketability of
true,
Christian content.
true.
Um,
Do you ever see The Man Who Saved Christmas?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's a
thought
good.
that
I like
was
that.
I thought it was pretty good for what it was. I haven't seen it in a
Yes,
while,
it.
but
I've watched it twice. I feel like it's it's pretty basic.
hmm
It there's there's a there's a great adaptation of David Copperfield that came out a few years ago.
hmm
I remember seeing it in theaters during COVID. Um, I
Oh
know I
yeah, is that
defy.
Dev Patel in that?
I think so. Yeah, I know. I think it got criticism from. I think people on the right may have criticized it because
Get a
it
non-white
had.
actor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it actually. I think actually I and my wife did a podcast where we talked about that movie. Um,
Oh,
anyway,
I
I
missed
think
that, I
that is
guess.
a better made movie. It's very like it's very it's very well done, very artistic, but also shows kind of the nitty gritty Oliver Twist type life that um
Sure.
that obviously like what's his name? Charles Dickens is drawing from his own personal experience. Um
Right.
and so that's more feels more like a better adaptation of Charles Dickens' life than the actual adaptation.
Okay.
Though I did like The Man Who Invented Christmas. It's good.
Yeah, it was decent.
It
Uh,
has a few of those like Star Wars prequel type like winks at the camera where it's like, because
like
he's the
remember
guy.
this?
Yeah,
Member
remember,
berries?
remember. They'll have. He was like at some rich place, and he's like, if they're gonna die, then they better do it. Like some person that he met, and he's like,
And then
oh,
you do
and he
the
grabs a
Leonardo
notebook.
DiCaprio meme, point at the screen.
Yeah,
Like, oh, that was
oh,
it.
I remember that. Like from the book.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um so we got
what were we
we got on
talking about?
we got on Charles Dickens. We're talking about the state of
This is how every conversation I have with anybody is.
no, it's
I
great.
will veer it into all kinds of things. Yeah,
It's
Christian
great.
movies. So what do you think about the state of Christian movies these days?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really what was the last like truly I mean, me personally, I'm not really a big Chosen guy. Not even
Yeah.
for like a lot of the controversial stuff that people say. It's just like for my tastes. I gave it a few episodes. And like, it's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Jesus and all that.
Yeah.
No, just like just like
Jesus isn't even the main
filmmaking.
character. It's the other guys.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It's like Jesus. He's not the chosen. But
Maybe we're the chosen.
maybe. Yeah.
It's Calvinist.
Oh, then that's why I don't like it.
Ah,
Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think. there hasn't been like a whole lot. Like I gave like Sound of Freedom, it was fine.
Thought you were
I,
gonna say it's fun.
it's fun. Oh
I
yeah,
don't know that it was.
it's a fun
I mean,
ride, that's for sure.
yeah.
Um,
I actually didn't watch it, but I know it's about sex trafficking, so I assume it's not
yeah.
fun.
I mean, it's an important message, but that's kind of
Who
the
cares?
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
That's how when I didn't get to this. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna rewind.
Back to the Future.
Uh, talking about like how the approaches that I've taken on reviews.
Hmm.
Sometimes I get into like the politics or get into the religion or get into like even uh, um, theology and stuff. But like when I reviewed um, the the Unplanned movie,
Right.
I
Yeah.
that's the one that I had to think about the most on how am I going to approach this because there's so many aspects to it, and
Yeah.
I specifically attempted to review this as a movie. What
Hmm.
is this like as a movie? Because even before, because I reviewed the trailer, I was getting so much like, how dare you, God's not dead style. How dare you even criticize this because
Yeah.
it's too important for us to admit that it's bad.
Hmm.
And so then that, I mean, my rebel libertarian side of me really wants to uh, fight to push back against that. But I also didn't want to I didn't want to distract from then what am I actually trying to do? Because I could go in and criticize, the subject matter and question whether or not this story is totally true, like I did with the Columbine movie. I
Hmm.
did a lot of like the story behind the story analysis.
Right.
Um, and because sometimes that's fun. I did that with the first two God's Not Dead movies. Not that I went into it, but I personally went into the
Mm.
the
Just to get an
at
understanding.
the end, just to see like are they actually basing this on true events,
Yeah.
or are they just saying that there are things like this? So, but with Unplanned, it was like, is this a good movie?
Right.
Uh, and does this, if they're trying to get their message across, does this do that in a way that someone who doesn't agree would continue watching the way
Hmm.
I continue watching Star Wars, even if I don't agree with George Lucas's weird religion that he puts into it. Because
Yeah.
we do that all the time. We watch movies that are good that we don't agree with.
Hmm.
And so to me, I'm like, if Christians can do that, that's when you've done the thing. That's
Right.
when you've made a movie that is entertaining, not just good, like we got the best cameras and we got the latest technology, but did you make an entertaining, a well-crafted story in a way that is able to communicate or show the power of your message in a real, believable way?
Yeah. Yeah. I could even say that, there are plenty of movies that I watch where I'm like, you know what? I don't really agree with what I think it is that they're trying to say, but gosh darn if it isn't presented well,
Yeah,
and just, enjoyable to look at. And yeah, I mean, you've said it all the time, like over the years in all your videos, how important it is that even if the message is so important, then the uh if the message is so important, then you can't put the message first, because then it's gonna be a turnoff to everyone. You have to put the craft first. That has
yeah.
to take priority.
The
Otherwise, everything's just
vehicle
gonna preach to the choir.
carrying the message. You think
Right.
about sending a package, like, well, why would you not take extra care in the packaging or
Hmm.
the vehicle that's carrying it?
Yeah.
All the more reason if you're talking about, oh, this is too important for us to criticize it and analyze it. Well, shouldn't you then, if it's so important to you, care even more about the thing that is delivering the message?
Yeah. Yeah. And I got that a little bit when I first started, reviewing Christian music, because no one was really doing that. And the pushback has died down, but I got that too, where it's like, oh, what does it matter? They're preaching the gospel or whatever. So
Yeah.
how could you criticize that? And then
Yeah.
I would basically go into the same argument, and people need to realize that, like, when it comes to a lot of Christian movies and Christian music, we get made fun of, because there isn't any effort put into like making.
No. They just hate Jesus.
Yeah.
They're making fun of you because Jesus said they would.
Yeah,
If
it's
they
not our
hated
fault.
me, they're gonna also hate you. So
The
that's
gospel
why.
is offensive. That's why they don't like
Yeah, that's why. That's
Yeah.
the reason. How convenient.
it. So it's
You're
not our
immune to
fault.
criticism.
Yeah.
That is interesting because I feel like talking about Christian music and stuff, and this also is you ask about the state of Christian movies and stuff. I have two thoughts on this, two opposing thoughts maybe.
Okay.
One, people have always said my whole life Christian movies are getting better. They're getting better, Kevin. And part of that is you'll have one big movie that is popular. I go back to maybe The Passion of the Christ might be one of the early versions of this that actually is like, oh, it looks like a movie, and a lot of people went to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you got a bunch. You got the Gospel of John. You got the Nativity story. You got like an Esther movie at one point, like a bunch of biblical
Yeah.
movies that were similar to The Passion, or probably got greenlit because of the success of The Passion of the Christ.
Sure.
And then in the midst of that, you get people saying, see, they're getting better. They're getting better. And I feel like every few years we'll get that. And you talking about The Chosen. The Chosen is that now, where The Chosen was popular. It showed that it could make money. And so now studios are like, let's greenlight all of these things that we wouldn't have greenlit if that didn't prove that it could make money.
Yeah.
And so then people say, see, it's getting better. It's I feel like God's Not Dead did that. But even though I didn't think it was good, you got a bunch of like courtroom martyr type stuff, like Christian victim movies.
Mm-hmm.
And because it showed that it made money. And so then for me, I'm like, well, so it's just a cycle that keeps happening where like something will rise above the fray.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, people will latch onto it because God's Not Dead isn't good, but yet people latched onto it. Passion of the Christ is fine. It's not great. And it could have been better.
Sure.
But it's all like what has made money. And then a bunch of movies come out that don't make money. And then eventually they're like, let's not do it.
We were wrong.
It happened with Lord of the Rings, where after Lord of the Rings, and you had Bridge to Terabithia or Hildago
oh my gosh, that
Aragon.
Oh yeah, the Aragon. Yeah,
a bunch of stuff
that.
Came out. Like, oh, Lord of the Rings made money and was popular. And so it happens not just in the Christian world, even though maybe Lord of the Rings is Christian. But it just happens with people who are trying to make money. Like, we'll try to capture that. You get lightning in a bottle and then more bottles come out.
Right. Please, me too.
Me, come on. And so I think that's part of it. So then I'm like, well, that's what it is. Christian movies aren't getting better. You just get a good one. And then everybody's like, see, that's good. And now we're going to make another one.
Yeah.
And then they just make a bunch of bad ones. I think that it's cheaper probably now to make something that is decent. Like there used to be this, like, if it was a cheap movie, you could tell that it was a cheap movie. If it was a Christian movie, then you look at any of those like 90s rapture movies and it's like, okay, but there's no movie, you compare Con Air, which was a real movie, to like to the Left Behind or something, which isn't a real movie. And you can tell they could make good looking things back then, but it was really expensive.
Right.
Now you can make things that look, I think the Irwin brothers have latched on to the ability to make something that looks like a real movie.
Yeah.
But still has the sentiment of a Christian movie.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah, everything has kind of become more accessible these days where like almost anyone could make a show, and there is this new rise and new streaming services. So
Hmm.
so yeah, I don't know. And I think you're correct with I think it is just a thing in the entertainment industry when something's big and we're going to do all these other knockoffs, and that's just how it is cuz um when was it? It was kind of around when a lot of more Bible based movies were coming out. Like there was the Darren Aronofsky Noah movie,
Oh
and then
yeah,
there was the Ridley Scott Gods of Egypt or
yeah,
whatever. And it's like, oh, people love Christian Bible based movies, and
yeah.
then like you
But let's
said,
not
they
do a New Testament one because we could make more money if we do an Old
right,
Testament one.
yeah, get that Judeo
Because
Christian
yeah, don't
audience,
alienate too many people.
yeah,
I've thought Noah could have been a pretty solid movie if they'd done it right for that reason, because you do have
sure.
multiple religions who believe in this.
Yeah, Darren Aronofsky had one chance, and he's just like, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make
Weird.
Noah, but make it a vaguely Gnostic, weird fantasy film. Which yeah, it turns out that Darren Aronofsky was getting into some Gnosticism at the time.
Ah.
But yeah, it's
Wait,
kind
isn't
of
there like a save the earth sort of
there is
aspect
that.
to it? I
There is
actually
that
have
too.
not watched the movie. I
I
have the
unfortunately
DVD,
did.
I have the Blu-ray, and I've yet to watch it. And
Yeah,
maybe I should just put it on, start streaming.
I
Let's
mean,
watch it right now.
sure. Just expect, because the thing is that I saw it in theaters and I was expecting it to be good,
Hmm.
and I was like, what is going on? Like they change parts of the story. Noah, he wants to kill his son, and it's really weird. Visually
Yeah,
very interesting, but
that's what I've heard. I've heard there's rock monsters and
yeah, it's so weird. I don't know what they were thinking, but hey, that's what you get when you get an auteur like Darren Aronofsky to make a basically. They should have just gotten one of those like directors for hire who will
hmm
like what Marvel's doing, like just because they tried with Edgar Wright and he's like, oh, they're changing my movie too much, I can't do
right.
it. It's like, so you got to get your directors for hire to do what you want them
Yeah.
to do,
Yeah, I talk
and
about that all the
yeah,
time. Like in my personal life, just kind of uh there's a reason, because when you work in film and in TV and stuff, you'll get people who I think they're insecure, but they're like, and this is the right way to do it.
mm-hmm.
And there is a reason. There's something valuable in not knowing the right way to do something sometimes,
Yeah,
especially in a creative field, because then you get some more innovative thinking.
right,
And there's a reason Marvel does what they do, where they hire more independent filmmakers to and say, do the thing you did where you made money with story, and we will give more money to make it big. You know, we'll make it. You want to do that thing? Okay, we've got the money to make it even bigger than that. And
yeah,
then, but what happens then? The risk of that is getting someone like Edgar Wright who can't play ball,
right,
um, or
yeah,
the Solo movie where and you get people who okay, we want people who are creative and free thinking because we don't know how to do that because we're a giant corporation,
yeah,
but we don't want them to think too much
yeah. I mean,
because
that's basically what happened with the Star Wars franchise. They got
hmm
Ryan Johnson, who,
yeah,
granted, he wasn't as established as he is now, but he was just one of those who's like, I'm going to do my own
yeah.
thing, and that's kind of
Hey,
their
you
fault.
made brick. We like that. Do that, but with Star Wars. Well, that's nothing like the movie I made about a
It's like, all
Sherlock
right,
Holmes at a high school. Uh, yeah, I do. It's funny because I'm going to get into Star Wars for a second. I've often
here we
been
go.
a defender of uh, the second
The The Last
one,
Jedi.
The Last Jedi,
Yeah.
because I think that there's uh I liked, I know the subverting expectations is over said, but I
Yeah.
liked that he was, my hope always for the Disney Star Wars stuff was get away from I'm not unique in this, get away from the Skywalker legacy and because the
Do
reason
other
why
stories.
Star Wars is so popular is because they made all these, you know, it's basically the first fan fiction, not the gross kind. I'm sure there's plenty of gross Star Wars stuff, but
Sure.
it's, where, because it's like, oh, a world where the Force and laser swords and blasters exist. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's explore that. And so to me, when they did, when they announced that they were going to do those sorts of like side quest stories, I was like, that's exactly what I think people want if done right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if done wrong, um, not so great. Though I think Mandalorian's great. I just watched the new one with the Skeleton Crew.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
with Jude Law.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
fun. It's like
I've heard
Goonies
it
in
is.
space. Um,
Yeah.
and it's clearly like much more kid focused. But it's like, all right, in the world of Star Wars, an adventure's happening, and it has nothing to do with the original uh, characters, and that's
Mm-hmm.
fun. And so like, so I was more defensive of Last Jedi because of that, because I was like, this
It was trying to do something new.
trying to do something new, and to
Yeah.
say Rey isn't anybody. Stop trying to guess who she is. She's nobody. And then they're like, well, that was, let's erase that and make her not just somebody, but like,
Yeah,
who
they
can she
tried to
be
do.
related to that nobody would think would be a good idea to have her be related to?
Yeah,
And it's
they.
confusing why even she's related to them. Palpatine.
Yeah, it's just their damage control they're trying to do. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of of two minds. I mean, I'm not even like I'm not too big on Star Wars. But yeah, I'm kind of of two minds about it. It's like I respect that Rian Johnson was trying to do something different. Ultimately, for me, it's like there's some things that I liked about The Last Jedi, but it was like the B plot of that movie with like Finn and
Mm-hmm.
I forget, and with like
The
Rose and
Asian
everything.
girl.
Yeah, I just thought that was all dumb. Like this doesn't. I liked they were doing some interesting things with Rey and Kylo Ren, and there's some really interesting visual stuff cinematography wise. And then they would switch back to that. I'm just like, what? Why
Remember
are the
when
horses?
they had them kiss?
Yeah, and then it was like,
I
oh,
just
love,
remembered that.
love is going to win.
What the heck?
And then they completely just don't acknowledge that in the next movie.
Yeah.
I'm
What a
saying that
crazy
I
world.
haven't even seen the third one. I didn't see it.
It's so bad.
All
It's
my
the-
opinions
it's-
are based off of Red Letter Media.
The Marvelization of Star Wars was finally complete
Yep.
in the third movie. Because I liked the first one that Abrams did. I actually was of the mind of Red Letter Media, of saying, hey, get Abrams in here because he did such a good job with the Star Trek movie. And I really loved that, the first Star Trek movie.
Yeah, it was fun.
Not the first as in Star Trek the motion picture, but you know what I'm saying.
The Force
Abrams
Awakens,
one.
yeah.
But then to have like but by the third one, like by Luke Skywalker again, whatever that movie's called.
The Rise of the Force that awakens.
It's
the last
it
Force.
is so dumb because I was defensive of people saying it's too jokey. There's too many jokes in the Force Awakens. And I was like, there were always jokes. Like, there's always cheesy jokes in Star Wars. That's part of it.
Star Wars was always cheese.
Stop holding this up to be some sort of like some religion that you can't make jokes about.
Space wizards with swords.
Yeah, and you've got, they're always hanging a lantern, and that's part of it. Though I do think that having only Han Solo doing that and not every character,
right?
Which is how they ended up having it in the end. Like everybody's Han Solo. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is
We're all
stupid."
Han Solo.
That's what I don't like about a lot of the Marvel movies, where it gets to the point where it's like, it's stupid that this movie exists and that you're watching it, isn't it? And you're like, well, I was here for a fun time, but now I do kind of feel stupid. I'm just gonna go
Thanks for
cry.
that.
Thanks for making fun of the audience.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
Yeah,
but anyway, did I ever answer any of your questions?
yeah, I think so. I think the main important thing is that Andor is a great show, and I hope that season 2
It
doesn't
is.
ruin it. So.
Oh, that's great. I love that show. Which is funny because I wasn't a huge fan of the
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Well, I should go back because I have a friend at work who is quite the defender of that, and who was the one who I had stopped watching Andor, and he's like, no, watch it.
Oh,
like I'd
yeah.
watched the first episode, and I was like, I don't know, and then he was like, no, get back into
Keep
it. It's
going.
the most like in the world of Star Wars feeling side quest type story, and well written, and
It's
it
so
looks good, and so I probably will watch Rogue One again at some point because I remember thinking it was very visual. I just felt like none of the characters were good. Like it just didn't feel like I'm really big. I like good characters, and but now that I know Cassian Andor much better, maybe it'll be more fun to watch his character in Rogue One.
I years ago I tried to watch Rogue One, and then I got distracted and I never finished it. 'Cause I just felt like it was so boring. But people have been telling me that I need to go back and watch it, so maybe once Andor is done, I'll go back to Rogue One since it's a continuation off of that. So we'll see. But hey, anyways, I think it's time. I think we've got some time to
we got
to get to your list that which I'm glad that you are bearing with me on this. It's just something fun that I like to do. For any of you first-time viewers, this is something that I like to do with my guests, is that I ask them to compile a list of about 5 Christian albums. I put quotes because like Christian can mean anything from like, it can be like mainstream Christian. It can be like, one of your like, is this Christian? I don't really know kind of thing. So I kind of leave it up to
where people said it was Christian, but then it turned out it was actually atheist.
Yeah, they can be so confusing sometimes.
It could be Lifehouse.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be Creed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're definitely Christian.
At least one of them.
Right.
Scott Stapp also lives in Franklin, apparently. Nashville area.
Nice. I'm sure there's a lot. A lot of
a
big musicians that live around there.
Ton. Yeah, there's a ton.
That's exciting.
But more people are moving here.
So I'm
that's
sure.
Fun.
Tennessee, I've heard, is like a pretty good place to live when it comes to like real estate property and taxes and all that.
My wife and I bought our house in 2016, and so that was a good investment. It turned out.
There you go.
So,
all right. Well, so you got your list together?
I do have my list together. How is this? Were there any other criteria? I have it, and I probably won't change it, but
I mean,
is it favorite or?
Just like favorite, but they don't have to be, because I know some people have trouble like pinning down like a top 5. They're like, I don't know, it changes, year to year. So just whatever you could think of, whatever you'd like to talk about,
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I have written down 10. Not 5.
Let's just go with 5 if that's okay.
But I've listed them in order of probably my favorite, though it's going to be the most basic, and I bet it probably almost directly mirrors other guests that you've had.
Sure.
Because it's also because I can't think of a band that I still listen to that even was like a Christian. I guess maybe Under Oath. I still listen when they come out with new music, but they're not Christian because they say the F word all the time now.
Well, I'm pretty sure they've come right out and said that they're not.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah.
Christian anymore.
Yes, most of them. I don't know
Yeah.
that Aaron Gillespie. He may have. I haven't kept up, but
I
I
think
did see.
he's kind of
I
not
saw
really sure where he's at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw an interview and I could tell like Spencer Chamberlain is just like, yeah, and Aaron will like jump in like, well,
No, hold on.
no, we got to keep in mind that, and maybe he just has parents he doesn't want to offend. Uh,
Oh.
and Spencer Chamberlain does not care.
Yeah, no.
But it is interesting, and maybe that's a topic for a different day or now. Because I was thinking before I get into this, and I'm going to just keep your podcast going.
Sure.
Remember when I said like I had two thoughts on Christian movies, and then I only said one of them?
Oh yeah, my bad.
No, it's my fault because I forgot it, and now I think I remember. But I think part of it is, and I get this way, and maybe I would actually be curious how you have handled this, because to me, I do think that the world has changed with Christian movies to where when God's Not Dead was out, and even all the way up until like Unplanned, it felt like people were just so undiscerning, and they were getting politics mixed up with their faith, and so then I felt the need to kind of play devil's advocate, go to the other side and say like, to be more political, I guess, too.
Right.
And then I probably, when I come out with videos now, are more like Mystery Science Theater type videos, because I just don't feel like I think everything I say now is already being said. It's kind of
Sure.
mainstream to say the thing that I was saying. Not it's not offensive to really anybody. There's
Right.
a very niche audience for them to come across my videos and be like, how dare you make fun of Christians? It's pretty, because a lot of people didn't understand what it was I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But now everybody kind of says it. Like, yeah, Christian movies, they can be kind of bad, but there's some good ones, and they need to get better quality wise and stuff.
Sure.
For Christian music, I feel like I could have my criticisms. Like I said, I haven't listened to, when I turn on like Hey Love, it all sounds like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all worship music, I feel like, but maybe that's wrong too. I haven't done that in a while. And I haven't really kept up with Christian rock, though I feel like every band is like under oath. Every band that I used to listen to is like, either they're like under oath, or they have to be like John Cooper. It's like,
right.
So I feel like the dynamic is different now, the way you would kind of even analyze something, because how much with like the labeled podcast, or like my friend Matt with 11 had his 11 Life podcast, where he's interviewing all these bands, and so they're all saying like it's not like a career ender to say we're not Christians anymore. So how much does that affect how you approach
like
reviewing this stuff?
Oh, like
with
when it comes to their faith,
things have changed. Yeah. The culture of politics or religion, or even musical style.
Here's well, when it comes to like an artist's faith, I mean, the fact of the matter is that the my YouTube channel is centered on Christian music. So for me, I have to have some sense that the artist is a Christian. And because we live in a day and age where I have talked about a couple artists that are proclaiming to be Christian, and yet their lifestyle is so public that it's like, I'm sorry, no, that's they're not. Me personally, I don't believe that they're Christian. So I'm not gonna talk about their music. I might talk about like them in terms of like a news cultural thing that's going on in the industry, but in terms of like reviewing them or like propping their music up, I'm most likely not going to talk about them. When you have bands like Under Oath and such that have such a legacy within the Christian music industry for so many years, I have no problem talking about like talking about their history, you know, and those albums and such. Usually, though, I give a sort of like asterisk, and I'm like, by the way, this artist no longer really professes to be a Christian, or they've gone like so progressive that it's not really anything close to orthodox. So yeah, I don't know if that was really your question.
Yeah,
there.
it is. I mean, to me, if I was looking at in like before 2010 and looking at Christian music, and looking at like what artists were saying, you know, even not that like it was there was of course most like people in the Christian music industry are going to lean more like Pentecostal or a more like kind of feel type
Right, kind of
church.
like
Nobody's
evangelical. Yeah.
doing Christian pop punk and being like some scholar in theology
Right. Right.
typically.
Yeah.
You know, like I think of this singer Michael Card. Do you know who that is?
That sounds familiar.
He was my parents loved him, and but he every album, you know, he's like acoustic guitar and but good, but very
Sure.
parenty type music. But every album was like his Bible study of a book in the Bible,
Gotcha.
and so it's very theologically based and stuff. But none of the bands I was listening to were like that. And so
Sure.
to me, this is my personal opinion, but I feel all the bands who were saying, who were like, I'm standing firm on my faith and I really believe in this stuff in 2008, let's
Mm-hmm.
say, but still going to like these very emotionally driven type, you know, they had a very emotionally driven faith,
Right.
are now like the most progressive, like trans activists,
Sure.
or you know, to where it's like, oh, so but had you been saying that back then, your career would be over.
Right. Yeah.
Now you're just with the same group being brave, but you're just saying, like, acting
It's
like
just
the
a
thing
different
that's very
message.
popular to say is really brave to say,
Yeah.
and it's the same people.
Yeah.
That's my little like observation of when I see a post from some band I used to like on Twitter or something,
Mm-hmm.
especially like during election season, where it's like, wow, you're being so brave on
Yeah.
either side. I feel John Cooper can get a little like, you know, I'll roll my eyes at things that he posts.
Sure.
And so I'm sure people roll their eyes at things I post as well, but it's just kind of like, I was just wondering if there's how we're like with Under Oath, outspoken, most of them are outspoken atheists. As Cities Burn has done the same thing.
Yeah.
Derek Webb, who is, I don't know if he is a full-blown atheist.
Yeah.
He was that before he was talking about trans and progressive stuff.
Right.
And because he's more like kind of in the like atheist community sort of
yeah, and like ex-evangelical, whatever.
Yes, deconstructionism, the Rhett and Link world, the Liturgist podcast, bunch of these
Michael
great,
Gungor,
maybe even Emery. Is Emery kind of in that?
You know, I don't know
world?
where I used to, because I listened to the Bad Christian podcast for years.
Yeah.
And I
Hard to listen to with those accents.
I thought it was fun and brought some color to it.
Yeah.
My
family's from South Carolina. I went to and so like I just hear my neighbors.
Gotcha. Yeah. Too close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. I know he wasn't a member of Emory. Well, actually he was a founding member, but he didn't go touring with. But Joey, I know that he still is a pastor with no answers. That's his podcast. And he still goes like very progressive. in terms of like Toby and Matt and Devin even or any of the other members, I'm not sure where they're at.
Yeah.
Because I know that they were on quite a journey. Like if you listen to the podcast, they would change their minds on everything.
Yeah.
So since they don't do
They're like, the
that,
sky is green, actually. I think.
yeah, pretty much. Maybe God doesn't exist. I don't know.
Yeah.
But since they don't do it anymore, it's I can't really keep tabs on where they're at.
Yeah.
I'll still talk about their music. I mean, there are definitely things that they talked about on the podcast that I don't believe now. I think I was a lot more open-minded back then, but now I'm like, I definitely have some contention for some of the things they talked about. But
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So I'm not
Because
sure
I feel
where
like
they're at.
the Rub Some Dirt on It album is like, it's that sort of thing. Because like I didn't listen to their podcast. I did listen to some of Gunger's, like, because I was curious how, because they're like, yeah, we still believe in God, but we were atheists for a long time, and then so I listened to like one of the podcasts. They have a 2-part podcast where they explain, and I think it was shallow and stupid, but I felt like some of the Rub Some Dirt on It, just listening I didn't read the lyrics or anything. Um, uh, had some of those ideas too, like anti-religion but pro potentially there's a God but we can't understand who that is.
Okay.
Sort of stuff.
I listened to that album. I wasn't really. I mean, I know they recorded it live and everything, and I just wasn't really a fan of the production. So I didn't really get past that. I didn't really take a listen to the lyrics. So you might be right. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'll probably still cover their music until like I know for certain. That's the thing with a lot of artists I cover. It's just like, as far as I can tell, they're Christian, but I can't really say that they're not or they are. So this is their music, and so far
I can tell
think
you
it's fine.
what people are saying around Nashville off air.
Oh, sure, yeah.
About each artist. You just ask which one you want to know about, and
I'll get a list together.
List of the worst.
Maybe you
among them.
Maybe you can offer some insight on the Michael Tate situation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I won't do that on the air. He knows where his bread is buttered. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's the other thing you hear about. Like, I'm not talking about Michael Tate, but I'm just saying you hear about people who they would like in. I think in Christian rock, like people who have been on Warped Tour and stuff, those guys can say whatever they want, and people, will.
Right.
Nobody's like, I can't believe. As Cities Burn isn't Christian anymore or under oath. I'm sure people are saying that sometimes, but it's not affecting their core audience. If Newsboys came out as an atheist band, they're done for.
Yeah.
Because I remember As I Lay Dying, real upstanding group. That's the guy who went to jail for putting a hit out on his wife.
Yeah,
and
talked about them.
I remember him talking about how they were all atheists for a long time, but felt like they couldn't say anything because that's where their income was coming from.
Yeah,
and I just don't think a metal band now.
Yeah, they don't really need that anymore.
Would need to do that, but obviously, like any contemporary Christian group that's still being played on K-Love or Air One or something,
right?
Probably does, and I hear about those things in Nashville. How there are just a lot of these bands that you would think would be just they're leading worship, and then they're like, yeah, I don't believe any of that stuff.
Oh, sure.
Like, wow, that's wild.
I don't doubt
it.
A
lot.
I'm waiting for the documentary to come out on that. That would be interesting.
What's hard is that's the funny thing. I end up getting listeners, viewers in those worlds who are like I also think of the I Kiss Dating Goodbye guy who like
Joshua
has
Harris.
Apologized for I should have never, and I hate God, and it's like you don't have to apologize for what people did. You wrote a book from a perspective of a 19-year-old and his views on relationships. You didn't ruin their lives.
Right.
They ruined their lives by I don't think a lot of stuff that Josh Harris said in the actual book was all that bad. I think it's the title was, and people didn't read the book and they read the title and then were like, oh yeah, I heard it's about courting and not dating, and then they just built a religion around that. But then he did a documentary about like that, and people's lives were ruined, and it's like, to
Really?
me, I think there's a bit of like arrogance in that, thinking you have so much power that you destroyed people's lives. Get over it. Yeah, there were a lot of dumb things that people taught me in youth group that now I've grown up and I've
Right.
realized,
Same.
well, that's wrong. That was incorrect.
Yeah. I never read Kiss Dating Goodbye, but my sister did. I remember she had a copy. She's married and has 4 kids, so I think she's okay.
Which is more than you could say for a lot of these people,
Right.
who profess to be atheists and stuff.
Right. Exactly.
So I think this is very funny how I have not even gotten to the list.
It's all good. Let's get through it, because we're now getting to the point where it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to go at some
All
point.
right. So here we go. I'll give you my top 5. Man, it's hard.
You can do it. I believe in you.
All right, here we go. By Reliant K.
Classic.
Number 1 was there for me in a time when I really needed it. Anything from Forgetting Not Slow Down back by them.
Oh yeah,
I could put on the list.
Forgetting Not Slow Down is personally my favorite, but yes,
yeah, it's good.
Is a classic.
Jesus Freak. Got it. I have to have it on there. I love that.
Never heard of it.
By DC Talk. Okay.
Who?
Yeah,
yeah, I had you there.
You can't have a podcast like this. They're
DC
Only
Talk?
Chasing Safety by Under Oath.
Okay.
That's an album I go back to like all the time. Even though I rarely listen to Christian music.
It's Under Oath. Doesn't count.
Farewell Old Friends, is that what it's by Bleach?
Oh.
Actually I did this from memory. Yes, that's what it's called. Maybe it's Good Friends. Bleach. I meant to do this.
No,
but now
you're
I'm
good.
Googling Farewell Old Friends.
I think it's something.
I think it's Farewell Old Friends. I thought it was Farewell Good Friends, potentially. Anyway, I love that CD. And it's very good, and it's very heartwarming because it was their last one, and they actually did make it their last one. And it's like, oh, it's, this great band is saying goodbye. They didn't even try to do a Kickstarter, I don't think.
I don't think that was a thing back then, but
well, I say that because Five Iron Frenzy, who I closely associate with them,
okay,
did have a final album, and then they had a Kickstarter and came back.
Hey, I mean, well, Anne Berlin didn't do a Kickstarter, but they had their
come back.
Their final album, and then
I went and saw them on their final tour. I believe that's what it was.
Nice.
They were with Taking Back Sunday and The Maine and another band that I can't remember. And that was an amazing show.
Nice.
That was first concert I went to with my wife. This was like 10 years ago.
Nice.
And it was awesome. And
yeah, they're great.
Spencer Chamberlain was actually there because he was filling in for the lead singer of Taking Back Sunday because he was having a kid, but then the lead singer was able to show up, but Spencer Chamberlain was still there just in case. And then they did a Taking Back Sunday song together, which is a fun crossover because Taking Back Sunday is one of my favorite bands. And the reason I started listening to Under Oath was because Aaron Gillespie has a very similar sounding singing voice as Taking Back Sunday.
Well, that's fun to be able to catch that moment.
It's like and then the final one I wrote down here is The Question by Emery.
That's my favorite Emery album. I mean, I know it's what everyone says, but it is really great. It was one of the first, I guess, like heavy albums that I got into, and I don't know, in the world, because I'd listen to
like more radio rock, like what's the like Pillar
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah. Skillet, maybe.
Skillet.
Cutlass.
Yeah. What's the one? It's got a number. Doesn't matter. But they were
Project
more,
Project
yeah, Project
86.
86. They
Yeah.
have some like screaming, but it's more guttural screaming and
Right.
stuff. So like, so a lot of the bands had like screams, but it would be like at the bridge, and then they really,
Yeah.
scream a one word or something. And 12 Stones had their,
Mm.
um, and then, but that was Emery was the first band that had like the singing and then screaming. And I remember I had a hard time listening to Under Oath because they had too much of the screaming
Mm-hmm.
at first, and then I grew on me.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I feel like that happens with a lot of people. It's like, oh, I don't like screaming, whatever, and then they just kind of get slowly weaned into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with Emery, it's like even then they have with the singing and everything, they have such unique voices. It's
Hmm.
like, what other band like has voices that sing in the style that they
Yeah.
do? It's like, and I think I remember them talking about that, and how that was like really weird for a lot of people at first, and it was weird
Yeah,
for
because
them.
most bands have like a emo-y
Yeah,
pop punk sounding voice.
yeah.
And they're singing, it's not operatic, but it's
It's
like,
got that like vibrato, almost kind
yeah,
of like very
uh,
dramatic kind of.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. And to pair that with then the screaming vocals and heavy guitars and stuff. I
yeah.
saw them several times. They were they were great. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
So those are my
I've not caught
five.
them live. I want to, but that's a great list. I will say the only one that I hadn't listened to is that, at least not the whole album, was the Bleach album.
Oh yeah.
I haven't done a deep dive on Bleach personally, but I that's the one with the track Goodbye, right?
Could
Or
be.
oh wait, no. I'm okay. I'm getting. I've done this before, but I for some reason tend to get Plank Eye and Bleach
Oh,
mixed up.
yeah. Yeah, they're in the same. I think
Goodbye is a
they're probably
Plank Eye album. I mean
okay.
song.
Yeah. Yeah. They're in the same
Same.
circles, I would
Yeah,
say. Yeah.
yeah, and
Uh,
I don't know why, but you know.
the
So
Bleach is like Christian Weezer.
right. Yeah, that sounds right. For as far as I know, but yeah, I guess both Plank Eye and Bleach, I have not really done
Yeah.
deep discography dives, but I know that they had a really big impact on that music scene. So I'm sure a lot of people will agree with you.
I would, of course, shout out Switchfoot, Jars of Clay, and Stephen Curtis Chapman. But I feel like
Nice.
those were like I didn't listen. I listened to them a lot, but further back.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful Letdown probably is would be the.
That's the big
Oh,
one. Yeah.
I was at Disney World for the first time ever, and maybe last time, I don't know, and with my wife, and it just so happened to be Switchfoot was there
Oh,
playing. Like I didn't know it, and then I heard them singing, and my wife loves them, and I was like, so we like went and got a free Switchfoot concert
nice.
while at Disney World.
They just let you. I mean, it was just if you were at
Yeah,
Disney World, you could
it
just
was
go and
like
watch them.
at a it was outside at a yeah, so if you were in the park, they were playing and you could watch them.
Nice. How that was recently, you said?
Yeah, it was this past year.
Nice. I forgot that I knew that back in the day they would do like shows and concerts there. I didn't know that it was still happening. In fact, I
Yeah.
think I remember Switchfoot having played there before. So, and I remember thinking like, "Oh, you can play concerts at Disney World? That's
Yeah.
cool." Cuz I
I
was like
wish
8.
it would be fun to see like an anniversary tour of Beautiful Letdown and watch and just see them play the whole album. I don't know if they probably did that already.
I think
Um,
I want to say that they did because last year was it last year It was
The
either last year.
re-release,
Yeah,
our version, which
yeah.
somehow is not as good, in my
It's
opinion.
not, and
Uh,
and
it
then
doesn't have,
they did the deluxe edition too that
yeah,
had other artists covering them, which some of them were good.
yeah.
Some of
I'll
them
have
were
to listen
good,
to that.
but a lot of them were not good. So
You know what's funny? They were like, I watched the behind the scenes, like featurette, and it was like,
mhm.
we're recording it the way we would have without the pressure of the, and that's such marketing
Yeah,
because no, they're recording it the way they, as old men, would record it now
right,
that they're into much softer music. But they recorded it the way they would have recorded it as young men into heavier music
right.
because it you can tell, no, now it sounds like your music now,
Yeah,
or like music you've made, it sounds like John Foreman. It doesn't sound like Switchfoot
sounds like
doing,
current Switchfoot.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm like,
also, I mean, another big reason is for like licensing issues.
yes,
It's just
it's
so
the
that they
Taylor
can
Swift
keep their
situation.
right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're both. It's Taylor's version, our version.
Yeah.
It's like
Though Taylor sounds exactly, she's not we're not on a first name basis, but Taylor
T
Swift's
Swift.
stuff literally sounds exactly the same. Like, I'm sure big fans of hers could say, 'cause- no, 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 it's more nuanced. And it wouldn't surprise me if it came out that she literally just got the recordings and
Just like
snuck them in
remastered
there.
them or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because there's no variation where you can listen to, and maybe
yeah.
I just know Beautiful Letdowns much better, but they
Mhm.
changed words.
They did. Yeah,
They, I think they realized that they accidentally said Al Pacino, and
yeah.
they were thinking of Al Capone.
It's like, dude, just keep
Al
it.
Pacino's still alive. Just embrace it.
It's like, no,
I don't know if they've talked about that, but when they said that, I was like, so they messed up and said the wrong guy in the original
yeah.
song.
Which I don't know. At that point, just keep it in. Like, don't George Lucas your art.
Yeah,
It's like keep
yeah.
the way it is. But whatever.
That's funny.
They can. We still have the original album.
Yeah, we can listen to it, and
Yeah.
whoever, and Sparrow Records or whoever they were on gets the money.
I don't. Was it Sparrow? Were they on
It,
Universal at that time, or were they even on
maybe
Universal?
because that might have been their like secular, because that would have
Yeah.
been their secular foray because that was right after. There's my cat.
Hi, Cat.
Uh, there,
Forgot you
that
had a
was right
cat.
after A Walk to Remember, the movie, and
Right.
they got a bunch of attention for that,
Yeah.
and then they put that same song on A Beautiful Letdown. That was on whatever the album was before that. New Way to Be Human.
Yeah. Yeah. I
They
think so.
re-recorded it. The Dare You to Move. Was it? Yeah, Dare You to Move.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was dumb that they put it like, hey, you can't put the song from the last album on the new album.
Hey, Anne Berlin has entered the chat with the Feel Good Drag.
Oh, did they do that?
Well, yeah, they there's the original that's on Never Take Friendship Personal, and then
Mhm.
they got mainstream success, and they
Oh, that's right.
for some
You're right.
reason they decided to re-record it for New Surrender, and nobody likes that version. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think I remember that because I listened to both those CDs, but not. I don't go back and listen to it, but maybe I will now.
Yeah,
Haven't
I
done
mean,
that in
like
a
New
while.
Surrender is not their best album. Honestly, neither is Never Take Friendship Personal, but Feel Good
But
Drag
that
is
would be the one that would be more nostalgic for me.
yeah, and Feel Good Drag is a great track.
Yeah.
But I mean, Cities is their best album, but
Okay.
whatever.
Well, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, given your taste, I think you would like it if you've never really done a deep dive into Anne Berlin.
Mhm.
Cities, a lot of people consider it like their, I guess, magnum opus. Even that seems too serious of a word, but yeah, that's
That's
basically
cool.
how it's
Okay.
considered.
Well, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well, that's a great list. Thank you for indulging me in my silly little
No,
things.
I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, I would love to keep this going on. If it wasn't for the time limit,
Hmm.
we'd be, going longer if we could. But I mean, hey, maybe we can have you on again sometime,
I'd love to. That'd
dude.
be great. And this time I won't forget. Though I did tell you that I would forget. You did everything to help me remember,
Yeah,
and then I didn't forget. I
you slept in
was sleeping. So in maybe in my
because of the
dream,
storm.
yeah, maybe in my dream I was remembering.
In your
But thanks
dream,
so
you were
much.
on the podcast.
Yeah. And it was a great podcast, way better than what we actually recorded.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, this
It
is fun.
usually is.
This is great.
Yeah, dude. Thanks so much. I mean, again, I've had so much respect for you since I first discovered you on YouTube, and I've been following you as much as one can parasocially, and always interested in whatever you're doing. And I always knew I wanted you to have you on just because you were a creative that I respected, and I felt like you would be, a good fit for the podcast. So
Well, yeah, and we worked together digitally
yes,
before because you wrote a good several articles for
yeah,
uh
I wrote some bad movie reviews, but that was always a lot of fun, and I think that brought some attention to this channel. So I am indebted to you
Oh,
for
great.
that. I'm sure there's a
Well,
lot of people who are subscribed to me who will be like, yeah, Kevin.
nice.
So,
Well,
but
well,
yeah,
let me know when it's out and I'll tell everybody,
yeah, it should be out.
anybody who still listens.
Yeah, it should be out. Not this coming Monday, but the next. And yeah, so this is a whole lot of fun. Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Awesome.
Got a super good feeling about today. I got a clue that it's you and you're never gonna go away. I got a super good feeling about today. I got a clue that it's you and you're never gonna go away. I got a super good feeling.
All right, well, we're back. We're back. Thanks again to Kevin for taking the time to do this. Let me know what you guys thought about the conversation. I know, Josh, that you haven't listened to the conversation. Nick, did you ever take a gander at it?
I wanted to, but I didn't give myself time.
It's okay. It's all good. I would highly recommend people to check out his channel. He's got a lot of fun stuff on there, and he's very insightful for sure. Like I said, he influenced a lot for me. So yeah, and we'll have to. I'll definitely would like to have him on again for something, So yeah. All right. So shall we get into it then to our
Yeah.
humble opinions?
Yes,
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Let's-
So we've got a lot of singles and one album. We've got new singles from John Mark McMillan featuring his wife, Sarah McMillan. And then a new track from Benjamin Daniel. And a new track from Low Cloud. And a new album from underground Christian artist Toby McKeon, a.k.a. TobyMac.
wrong for that. You did him wrong. He's
No
Mount
one's ever
Rushmore
heard of
in
him.
Some of the streets.
Yeah, he is. I heard someone the other day called him I saw someone called him the Justin Timberlake of Christian music.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
That sounds about right.
I mean, I feel like TobyMac is more influential on Christian music than
Definitely.
Justin Timberlake was influential on. I don't know. It's hard
I mean,
to
they were both
kind of make that
in a boy
comparison.
band. I mean, they're both were in a boy band before they
That's
went
true.
solo. So in high
That's true.
'90s.
I guess that
Yeah.
is not a bad comparison, but yeah, we'll get to that. That'll be our last one. But yeah, so let's do John Mark McMillan. He has released he has been releasing quite a few singles. He's probably doing the same thing that he did with his last album, where he's just periodically releasing singles until the whole thing is out, which I don't know. It worked for Gorillaz, but I feel like that John Mark McMillan should just release the whole album eventually. But either way, so it's a new single from him, Heart's Delight, and it features his wife Sarah, who honestly almost kind of dominates the track. Like, John doesn't really
Pretty much.
appear in the track until, like, I don't know, after the second verse, I think. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I really like this track a lot. It's definitely like amongst my favorites from him.
Yeah.
As the song suggests, there is a lot of joy present in the song. Very lush production. The lyrics convey fulfillment, joy amidst hardship, and celebration. And that's kind of all it is. It kind of becomes it's a sort of worship song, and a little repetitive, but I think that's intentional for the song. But yeah, Josh, we'll go with you first. What were your feelings on the song?
I like the song. It had that first. I thought it was folky, but it had like that '90s, '80s retro style, and then that saxophone was the one that I like the
Yeah,
instrument. Yeah, I like the saxophone in the background wasn't doing too much, but it was enough that you felt his presence. And it's like I was like, okay, I
yeah,
like this. I like this style, so I like the track
just
a lot, and
just
they
added
did good.
a little bit of soul to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you not listened to a whole lot of other John Mark McMillan?
Uh, outside of the singles we heard for Gorilla, not that much. Just come up when it's on the like list or stuff like that. But this one definitely will make me go back and listen to him a lot more.
Oh, well, the Gorillas, that was a reference to the band Gorillas for one of their.
Oh no, that's no. Outside of that, that's all I had.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Well, they're not
yeah.
related. Gorillas is a completely different band that they
Was it?
kind of did the same. They're a secular band from
Oh,
well, they're
I
not even a
thought they were
band. They're
saying.
from
I thought they were
No, it's
saying
the
that. I was
anime.
listening to
It's
them. I was
the
like,
animated band.
I was like,
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
this. I'm like, okay, it's different, but yeah, I literally thought they were the same. I was listening to it. I was like, okay, like not my
No.
style, but
No. No, I
sorry,
don't.
audience. I really thought they were the same.
It's all good. I was just making the Gorillaz reference because for one of their more recent albums, they did the format where they released a single every month, and then eventually the whole album was out. They're not related to John Mark McMillan at all.
Oh,
No.
They're they're a good band
one of
though.
those weird
They're one of
coincidences.
my.
Yeah, one of those weird coincidences that they one of the few secular bands that I had for my Spotify. But I was
That's
like,
funny.
all right, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
We've
oh,
definitely not talked about Gorillas on the show. Not Christian, but they're
no,
good.
No.
not
Well,
Christian.
like,
Sorry, we don't approve.
per-
It's
yeah,
all good.
because personally, I'm not a big fan of the formula of releasing so many singles that are supposed to promote the album. Because like, if
Yeah,
you're just gonna if you're just gonna about dump the whole thing almost at once and then like leave one song as a surprise, it kind of ruins the overarching new experience of the whole story, whether
right.
concept
Yeah,
non-concept. Because like I like a good suspense. I like I like the idea because like I've seen all types of artists, big and small, use all these similar formulas. I know one Twitch streamer did that similar formula that she released. Or I'm thinking of a different songwriter. One of them just like did the thing of breadcrumbing some songs at a time up until the album dropped, and then like maybe one or two songs were fairly new to my ears at that time. In comparison to, I like using this example in my mind when Noah Gunderson promoted his new album White Noise back in 2017, was just like feeding us like up to 3 songs, and then a small tease on SoundCloud for another one, and that was it.
Right.
That just like held us over until the upcoming overarching album. Is
Yeah, and I think that's
I'm
how it
done.
should be. Like, it was
'Cause, like,
novel
one of my-
when Gorillaz did it, and it was kind of cool. But then, like, John Mark McMillan's done it, Peter Gabriel's done it, and it's kind of like, I don't know. For me, it kind of spoils the experience, like when the
Yeah,
album is
I
finally out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
once you listen to the album, it's like I know all these songs. Like
Right.
you gotta wait for
Yeah.
like to find the 2 songs you didn't hear. Like then also with the times of albums being shorter. So like used to having 18 songs on an album or so.
Right.
So like so now we're getting you might get 12. You might so when you get 4 singles, that leaves 8 other songs. So they're just like, okay. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a personal
I
cap.
did have one song by him, H and Love, that I did love by Mark McMillan.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
there was
a good one.
one. So
Yeah. Yeah. Not Gorillaz.
not Gorillaz.
Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend he Peopled with Dreams and
Okay.
Mercury and Lighting. Those are great albums.
Okay.
And I forget the name of his last album was pretty decent, but that was the one that was kind of spoiled by the whole
Release thing.
release thing. Deep Magic. Yeah, that was the last album. It's good, but it was like, I'm gonna have to come back to this at some point, get a full new experience. But yeah, I don't know. It's this day and age of streaming that we live in. We live in an age where it feels like artists they're sharing too much before the album comes out. If it's not like the whole album. So I think we need to normalize going back to just like maybe just like maybe 2, maybe 3 singles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it worked.
And
it
that's
worked,
fine.
and that
Don't let it
worked
be
out
the
well.
first 3 songs.
Yeah, literally.
yeah,
But
what's that, Nick?
But that worked out well for one of my favorite album of the year last year, Lizzie McAlpine's Older and Wiser. She released two songs total within 2 months prior to the album drop. That worked out well.
Yeah.
And then with
Yeah,
the
I'm
great
sure it can work
response-
out well.
It always does. It does really depend on the person, the group
Yeah,
overarching.
for sure. Yeah. Anyways, either way, it's a good song. So
Mhm.
I am excited to
I
hear the
didn't
rest
say
of
that.
the album, but yeah. Oh yeah, Nick, you haven't even I forgot you haven't
Yeah.
even shared about
Come
the
on,
actual
guys.
song. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
what didn't you like about the song?
The repetitive use of "you," where it's pretty much an idol of itself.
Okay.
I have a bit of a strong stance about that, albeit having been doing the worship thing for a
Mhm.
good majority of my late teens to most of my 20s. That I was having. It was like one of those things where it's just like I wasn't having any of it, and I still don't have it, and I'm still not having it, with the exception of some of the bands that I
Yeah.
like. Because they don't always overdo it. With the that's the problem with worship, current Protestant worship music, that's so mainstream and meant for services. Like it has the implication that it's talking about God, but it's not fully acknowledging God by His essence. True theology.
Mm. So it's just like,
Or he-
it's not naming God specifically.
Yeah, but it's like I know it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. It doesn't. It's not always mandatory. But like I've heard it. But like I wasn't much of a fan of it anyway. Because like besides some production qualities of it, there's nothing really special about this song I found.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get that, and that is something that a lot of people have complained about before. The whole like, is this song about God or your boyfriend or your girlfriend? I guess just like with the context of knowing John Mark McMillan's music, that like I didn't even think about it. It just seemed pretty obvious to me. I knew who they were singing about. But yeah, I totally get that complaint. And that is something that I do appreciate about like the old, well, not even like the old, but like hymns and everything. They're very specific, and there can be there's a beauty to that specificity. But yeah, I guess it just didn't really bother me in this song. Granted, yeah, I know comparatively the lyrics aren't like, they're not the most like dense, but I guess I was just a fan of the production, and just the whole feel of the song. So, but yeah, I get it that you and I can see your perspective on it. I see you and I affirm you, Nick.
Ugh.
So. You're like, don't ever say that again.
That was cringe. Ah. Ah.
That's what we're here for, the cringe. Anyway, so that was our collective thoughts on Heart's Delight from John Mark McMillan.
You bring me joy. You bring me joy.
But let's move on to a favorite guy of this channel, Benjamin Daniel, and his new song, Nashville. Those guys. Oh, great. Am I about to get disconnected? Am I here?
Yes.
You're here now.
Yeah.
Okay. It was like saying that it was trying to reconnect. So anyways, we'll keep moving. So this is a new track from Benjamin Daniel. He, according to his post, this was a leftover from his album, Home Enough for Now, which makes sense because the production is very similar. For those of you who don't know, Home Enough for Now was a lot of it was largely recorded as basically like voice memos on his phone that were later, they layered them with more production on them. And it makes sense. It feels like it would fit right in with Home Enough for Now. And so according to what he said on social media, Benjamin Daniel wrote Nashville, Those Guys in 2019 after his first trip to Nashville for the Getty Sing Conference. So Keith and Kristen Getty, who wrote In Christ Alone and a bunch of other modern hymns. Sorry. Where he explored the city with friends and felt a profound spiritual connection. Hold on. I got to take some water. Getting a little dry. So he explored Nashville with his friends and felt a profound spiritual connection. The visit inspired him as a Christian folk musician, making Nashville feel like a sacred space akin to Jerusalem. Since then, he has recorded 4 albums, 2 in Nashville, and moved to California for non-music reasons. Gaining perspective on his dreams and motivations, he now sees Nashville as less daunting but still special, balancing his love for music with contentment in his day job and community. The song reflects his ongoing journey as a bivocational artist, longing for music while embracing his current life. So, just a big song about, I guess, change, and just different chapters in life. And I thought it was really good. Granted, very, very simple, very, very pretty production, and Benjamin sounds great as usual. Nick, we'll go with you first this time. What were your feelings on this track?
Well, first, with the extra context from Mr. Benjamin, I had to say, from my visits to Nashville, I've had a different, I sense a more different spiritual connection to that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun it is a fun place. But it's just it's like it don't need me. I don't need it. That's fine.
Sure.
It's fun to go.
Yeah.
It's fun to go there.
And maybe that's how he feels about it now.
Yeah.
I think just for like, oh sure, yeah. I think for him, like being there, visiting there for the first time, it was more like, oh, this is like the music capital here, and like so much music has been created here. So I can imagine that, because I've never been to Nashville,
I did.
but I can imagine that being pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
like in that part, I do relate to that. When I was 18, and me and my family and my mom's friend's family, we all did a spring break vacation over in Nashville. So like, it was really all struck in for that first time being there. So I relate to that. It was very nice track. It was pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's it.
Cool. Is that your thoughts on Nashville or the song?
Oh, the song Nashville. I'm talking about
I'm
the
having
song.
connection issues.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
gotcha.
I thought you were like, what?
Okay, cool. Sorry, I think we're having a lot of lag right now. There's having connection issues. So, we'll move on to Josh then. What did you think about the song?
I'll have to give it another listen to. It was kind of hard to get into that song right after listening to the previous song, just because the style of music is so different. But I do agree
Sure.
it was pretty. But it wasn't one I have to like be in more restroom mood to listen to it, just because of the style of music. But I do. I like Benjamin. And with the hip context, I know
Yeah.
what to go into that song looking for and his perspective of it now. But it was a nice song. I do like lo-fi,
Yeah.
so it's not that. It's not that. It's just kind of hard to go straight into lo-fi from a more upbeat
Yeah.
song. So
Yeah,
but,
it's a simpler song,
yeah,
production wise, not a whole lot going on. It does seem like it is more of a personal song for him, so yeah, it's nice. I mean, he's definitely made better songs, more enjoyable songs, but this is still pretty. It's a nice bonus track to Home Enough
yeah.
for now. So, and
Like I would play if I was on
I'm excited for what
Flow
he
Down the
has
River.
next. Sorry, go ahead. I think the lag is interrupting.
No, I was just saying like I would definitely play it like if I was like I
Oh,
like floating on
maybe I
rivers and stuff like that. So I definitely play for that. So yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having trouble here, so I apologize uh for this. So we'll get through it. So, but yeah, it's overall thoughts. It's a nice track, Benjamin. Um, Nashville, those guys in Nashville.
Am I one of those guys who has fallen in love with you? Am I just a cliche that...
Okay, we got another single from Low Cloud, which is a new band I've been pretty excited about, as it features Matt Hammett from Sanctus Real, and I think a couple of the members of formerly of Cutlass, and so yeah, so they've been releasing some new songs, and they're going to be at Audio Feed, and so I'm really excited to see them. But yeah, this is their latest single, Stars Align. And yeah, I have to say I love how unabashedly positive it is. It has all the marks of all those cliche anthems about how we're gonna take on life and we're gonna do great. But I kind of love it for that. It is more of a just kind of like a upbeat rocking anthem. Not a whole lot of depth to it personally, but for me it's fun. It would be fun to just like put on the car, and just kind of jam to it. So yeah, I don't really have much deeper thoughts than that.
Yeah.
Josh, did you what were your thoughts on it?
I like this one. And that's why I recognize the voice because it's Sanctus Real. So and
Yeah.
then I like that rockish sound of 2000. And
Yeah.
so it was definitely it
It's
was
pretty
very fun.
nostalgic.
Yeah, very nostalgic.
Mhm.
That I was like, ooh, this is a sound I like. Yeah, so it was nice. It was very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice. I like Sleepwalker better, but
Okay.
Stars Align is not bad. Nick, any strong feelings about this song?
Yeah.
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 Whoa. You're gonna have to tone the attitude, man. Tone down that attitude. You're a little too excited about this song. But it's not really your thing, Nick.
Yeah, it's fine. Like
It's fine.
nothing much to it.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I'm probably listening to it with rose tinted ears, just because it's Matt Hammett's voice, and it's just nice to hear him singing some rock music again. But yeah, it's I'm curious to hear whenever they release an album. I'm sure that this isn't gonna be like my go-to track on it, but it's fine. It's a fun listen, but like after that, it's not like life-changing. So, all right, it seems that we're pretty much mostly mid to positive on Stars Align by Low Cloud.
Let's raise a glass to the future. Let's make it last while we're still alive. We'll have it all.
Let's talk about the new TobyMac album, TobyMac,
Yo.
Heaven on My Mind. I'd be curious. I'm gonna let you guys share your thoughts on it before I do. And Josh, I feel like you would be the bigger fan of
Yes.
TobyMac and maybe of
Yeah.
this album. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts were on it.
Yeah, especially again going back to DC Talk, felt like I grew up with them, even though they're a little bit older than me. But yeah, is it's fun hearing TobyMac and DC Talk, and then hearing him now. Um, really got big into him from his
hmm
portable albums sound uh album and then onward. So um I hear the growth and the maturity. And I was telling her off air that I just went to his concert that was in St. Louis.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I heard some of these songs live. It's interesting hearing it's interesting hearing the album version and then the live version of the songs. I felt like some of the songs
Mm.
they they sounded like there will be way more hype how they started, but then it kind of like mellowed uh out. So it was interesting, but you just hear the maturity, special after the recent deaths of Gabriel, Mandisa earlier, and then also ultimately stemming from Truett. I was talking to my dad about it. It was like you just it changes you, and so and he
hmm
talked about it at his concert and in a few interviews. He was just like telling his family like, "Hey, we have to rebuild on this cornerstone of Jesus Christ and like shift our view." So you just hear the
Mm.
maturity from it. Even though sadness around the death, I
Right.
feel like it brought his whole family closer. Um, Interesting that he had one of the Winans sons on the song Juan Hawaiian on Review. That was a nice
Oh,
one.
I didn't even
Hmm.
put that together. Duh.
Yep.
It's got the
Yeah,
same
that
last
was
name.
yeah, that's what took me off. And then of course, if you go over and listen to Winans, they all have that sound. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, two coincidences. So I looked it up, and yeah, he's the son of uh Charvin. I might be pronouncing that name wrong, but yeah. So
hmm
he got some soul on there, and then of course
Yeah.
he has his most recent protege Carrion on Resist, Keep the Devil Away. That was a fun live. That was fun.
Sure. Yeah, I can
I
imagine.
yeah. So I think this is his most mature album. Uh, I used to
Mm.
hear him get mature over time, and this is more the sound wise more conservative. It wasn't as flashy as previous albums, especially like Tonight, Portable Sounds, but
Yeah.
he's getting that message out um and you just hear his heart. And so then ended it with the song to Gabe, who was very vital in his life and on tour.
hmm
It's it was very touching way to end it. So yeah, I like it. I still do believe this might this might be like Mac's third to last album from him. Um,
Yeah. Oh,
um,
I thought you were going to
it
say
just
maybe his last.
I think he might have one more.
Yeah.
But he was like at the concert his wife was he said his wife played had Alexa play his discography and she was like, why don't you play all these songs? She's like, that's over 20 years worth of music. He's like, that's a lot of songs. But yeah, you just see how big he is, and then you just like, yeah, it's I think he's like trying to get more into that mentorship and respect, love his family more and why he has the time and stuff. So I think
yeah.
we'll probably get one more, but I think it's getting close for him. I feel that he's like I got moved in a different direction. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
overall,
And
I like this album.
yeah, I feel like the passing of Truett probably gave him a new perspective and maybe made him feel like he's like, maybe I gotta stick around more, like spend more time with my family,
Yeah,
you know. So, so I totally get that. Um, yeah. Um, Cool. Nick, I can't imagine that you probably don't have as much of an attachment to this album, but I'm curious, if you got any strong feelings about it.
I did my best to speed run the album a little bit this morning, so I will. I didn't get. There's only maybe half the album or so I didn't get to yet. I did.
Okay.
I did make sure to listen to "Goodbye for Gabe," since I figured we were going to be talking about that one briefly.
Yeah.
He's there. E. One, two, one, three. I don't have my song book because like I wanted to. I haven't gotten to listen to his song "Oh My Soul," which is supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
referencing Psalm 103. But
Yeah.
I think, but I think the numbering is in the Hebrew. Yeah, listen, yeah, there. Yeah, in the Hebrew numbering, it's Psalm 103. In the Septuagint, it's Psalm 102.
Oh, interesting.
Because when I think, yeah, because by this point, when I'm thinking of someone, by this point, when I'm thinking of Psalm 103, I mean, if you guys are, for anybody that's listening that's new, I'm a fairly new Orthodox Christian, and I hear these two, usually hear Psalm 102, the Septuagint, bless the Lord, all my soul, at every divine liturgy that we do. And then at the start of every Vesper service, we start off with Psalm 103. Psalm 103. In the Hebrew
Mm-hmm.
numbering, it's Psalm 104. Or this one starts off, the Lord wraps himself in light as with the garment he stretches out the heavens like a tent. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the numbering because in the Hebrew context they start splitting. It's all the same numbering until they get to Psalm 9, and then they just let's see, yeah, and then the Hebrew one starts splitting those into 9 and 10, and then eventually goes back together around Psalms 147, 146, 147. That's a little bit. So that's a little background. So
Okay. What did you think about the
I'm
album,
getting
Nick?
around. I didn't get around. Oh yeah.
That's
So that's that.
right. Okay.
Nothing. With not much context, I can agree with Josh. It is, well, I call it mostly mature. And
Mm-hmm.
besides that, there wasn't anything sonically special that I've heard from him. And yeah, he's right. It's probably a point where he's about getting ready to wind down. It was like
Mm-hmm.
because like there's something like that I've noticed in music when someone has been like when a group or a singer has been around for a long time, it start and it starts sonically becoming stagnant, kind of monolithic, meaning like it's starting to sound like everybody else. All the creativity, all the risks of making something new are nearly gone, and it's about time to put a cap on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially since he's
And
literally
then,
been
yeah,
involved since like the 80s, like late 80s, early
Mhm.
90s. So it's probably about time to hang it up.
Well,
But
I was saying he still has tricks because there was at the concert how he did started off his song "Move."
mm-hmm.
It blew my it was a shock how he did it because I thought it was about to start, but he had like a remix slash version of it, and
Okay.
then turn off the lights and then went into it. So it's like he still has some tricks up his sleeve. I would just say I
Sure.
think that he doesn't he's more focused on the messaging now
Mm-hmm.
compared to when he came out. Like I said, with Portable Sounds, it was very different sound. It was like fun, um, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I would say he's more. That's what I said. I think he's more focused on let me get the message of God out on Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and not focus as much as making it sound pleasing.
Yeah, and I guess that's I don't know. I'll share my thoughts on the album because I know Josh, you got to go in a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna be honest.
Hey,
I think I had some high expectations for this album. Uh, but it it honestly it didn't do a whole lot for me. But I think I've just kind of come to the realization that I'm not really gonna connect with the TobyMac album in the same way that like like the last TobyMac album I feel like I really connected with was Portable Sounds. Um, but yeah, this I felt like I was enjoying it for like the first few tracks. Of Heaven on My Mind. I appreciated the more it kind of like chill, laid back production of it, and a little bit more focus on singing. He doesn't do a whole lot of rapping anymore. Um, but then I felt like that the further on down I got in the album, it felt a little bit more unfocused in a way. I felt like there were a lot of tracks that, like, when I heard it, I was like, okay, this is going to be, or I mean, some of them already were, but it's like, okay, this is going to be like the radio hit. This feels more like a radio hit than being a part of the album. Um, and also, the just not a huge fan of some of the songwriting. Um, very kind of surface level for me, and so yeah. Although I did appreciate like the song for Gabe, um, that was nice. But there's some good moments on the album, and like you said already, it does feel in some way it does feel more mature. It seems that TobyMac has a lot of new perspective on life, and I appreciate how some of that comes through on the album. But I guess just like conceptually and like production wise, it doesn't really do a whole lot for me. So, but that's probably just me. Like I said, last album I really connected with from him was Portable Sounds. Maybe Tonight, but I haven't listened to Tonight in a long time. Um, but yeah, I think I've just kind of, um, I don't know, moved on from. I mean, other than with like a few exceptions, like of course, 21 Years
on
was
years, yeah.
it was my number one song for that year, and maybe a couple songs from his last album, but um, I don't think I'm ever really going to fully 100% connect with a TobyMac album.
Okay.
And I think that's just me. So, but
I'll be interested to see what type of songs he put on his deluxe album, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna have a deluxe album sometime later
yeah, he
this
usually
year.
does. Which I don't know. I think lately I've realized I'm not really a big fan of deluxe albums. I don't really get the point of them, other than to just get
Aw.
more streams for some new tracks. But I don't know. Hot take, I guess.
It makes me not want to save
So,
the first one because I know a deluxe album's coming. Like I'm like, I don't need this album. I want the deluxe. Like,
uh,
I don't know.
uh, I guess I don't know. It depends. I guess in my mind, I'm like, I just want the original, like what the original album was intended to be. Because oftentimes deluxe albums have been a disappointment to me. It's like, oh, I don't like these songs as much, but you know, there can be a good deluxe album, but
Yeah.
But, you know, much respect to Toby and the legacy he's left the band. I mean, gosh, it feels like that he's dying. He's not dying yet, but he's obviously left a huge impact on the music, and I have a lot of respect for that. And I don't hate any of his music. It's just some of it just really doesn't connect with me like it used to. So, but that's just me. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Josh, especially since you're a fan. So any fans out there, I'm sure that they'll enjoy it. I know it's not really Nick's scene, so totally get that it doesn't connect with you. So it is what it is. That's
All right.
my humble opinion. You know.
I got heaven on my mind. I got people waiting by. Close my eyes and I can see. Dancing on them golden streets. Got me dreaming of.
All right, well, that's that then. Sorry that this was a longer episode. I know once I get it all together, it's going to be a little longer. But hey, hope you guys enjoyed the conversation with Kevin and all of our banter. I guess I'll okay. So for the next episode, and then I'll let you go, Josh. There's a certain album anniversary coming out, and I know by the time that this next episode will be out, it'll be a little late, but it's a yearly anniversary. I think 20 years, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time. And I think it's about time that we do a track by track analysis of it. And that album is The Everglow by May. So,
Okay. All right.
not sure if
I'll work on that.
either of you have really ever listened to it. Cool. It's kind
I
of
heard, you talk about
highly
it.
regarded, like as a. Oh, sorry, we got lag again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. We talked about it a little bit from the last show, so I started looking at
Yeah,
May,
that's
so,
right, we did.
Yeah, I definitely will. I'll get into it.
Awesome. Yeah, and,
Alright.
and it is more of a concept album, so I do want to kind of dive deep into those themes. So
Okay.
so yeah, that's what we'll be talking about in the next episode. So I'm excited. So
All right.
cool. All right. Well, I'll let you guys go because you guys got to go. I'll see you guys in next episode. Love you all. Bye bye.
Hey, this is Stephen Christian from Amberlin. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and also feel free to subscribe to I'm Clifford Today. For those of you listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating and a review. Also, be sure to check out Clifford's Clips and Highlights channel. I'm Clifford Today. If you want to hear more from Clifford, check out his other podcast, Podwood Forecast. And there's always t-shirts and other merch you can buy, so be sure to take a look at that. There are links to everything in the episode description, so thanks for stopping by, and remember, he's Clifford Today, and you're not.